Hey guys, welcome to The Last Word. Ty Guy Travis, Lord Cognito, and Ebontis. Here we're going to talk about Destiny 2. A year ago, you may remember that we did an episode called New Year for New Lights, I believe is what we called it. It was an episode where we talked about the new player experience in Destiny, and we brought two folks on to talk about their early experience with the game. They talked about their growing pains, they talked about the stuff they liked, the stuff they didn't like, and here we are 1 year later, almost exactly a year later.
Pretty
It's a little
close.
over, very close to a year later, and we're going to do a check-in with our new lights, our not so new lights, I guess now, to kind of see where they ended up, how deep they went with it, and all that stuff. And I think the interesting part of tonight is last year when we did this, we introduced these two as both almost entirely new to Destiny, and they very clearly had different approaches to the game. One was looking for a really casual game to play with the buds, and the other one was looking to get in there and spreadsheet the heck out of it and power game. And those two paths led on very different journeys. One, I believe, fell off very quickly, and the other one went deep down the rabbit hole until eventually burning themselves out, which I call the two final destinations of Destiny, really, if you think about it. And so, here we've got Mr. DJ Funk, Dr. DJ Funk. Sorry, I can't call him Mr. He has a PhD in funking. Yeah. And also Brandon V. Strassner, attorney at law over here, back at the fireside chat here on The Last Word. How did I do with my intro? Pretty good? 10 out of 10? Would intro again? Great.
You did all right, man. You did all right.
Welcome to the team.
The first one got cut, by the way, so when this thing goes actually to places, this will
No,
definitely get cut.
No,
Aw.
no. Let's keep it in.
How unfortunate.
Keep it in.
I'll keep the
Nope.
initial talk. It's just there's going to be a little
Wow.
time jump.
All right. Anyway, so Paul, why don't you welcome to the show? See, I'm just gonna make it hard for him to cut. If I keep referencing it, he'll have to include it, right?
Maybe the algo will pick it up, you know?
Yeah. Hey, we don't know. Maybe that's good for SEO. We don't know. Ebontis, how long has it been since we last met? Did we meet last week? Oh, I wasn't here. How was your week then?
Week's been interesting. Played a lot of Palworld.
Nice.
Trying
I did not know you
to.
got into that. Cool.
I got like 60 hours at this point, level 40. I didn't change the experience up until recently. I was trying to give it kind of natural experience and see how that would go. So I think I'm like 42. So getting towards kind of the top end of
you
things.
played a lot.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I mean, did a tips video that kind of went off. A couple of the videos did well, so I was trying to see. And then February is just, we were just talking about this in chat. February is going to be crazy. So didn't get early access to Suicide Squad, but I do think I'm going to be getting a code soon. So I should be able to play that one, but also potentially have access to play something else. And then February is just stacked full of stuff. You've got a stress test for Nightingale tomorrow. Nightingale actually comes out on the 22nd. Pacific Drive comes out on the 22nd. I did a preview for that a little while ago. The Thaumaturgy, if I said that right.
Thaumaturgy,
I think.
Thaumaturgy, sorry. Close. That's on the 20th. Not sure if I'm going to try and cover that. Skull and Bones is on the 16th. I think there's an open beta on the 8th. So everybody can try that if you want to. Vanisher's Ghost of New Eden comes out on the 13th. Helldivers 2. I know somebody in my Discord's dying to play that one. February is like stupidly stacked. And you look at the calendar for the rest of the year and I'm going, even April or May would be fine. Something got announced for April. Oh, Stellar Blade was that yesterday, I think. And I was like, okay, you got a little, you picked a date with a little space. You didn't shove it into February. So it's just right now, February seems a little crazy. But a lot of stuff looks
crazy
fun.
every year now. It's been that for like 4 or 5 years.
A few years now. It's been where everybody wants to shove their game at the beginning of the year. I don't know why. And if people wonder, oh, I wonder why this one didn't sell. 20 other games came out at the same time. So just trying to actually like setting up calendars and things, trying to keep all my stuff straight of everything going on. So it's been a little bit of chaos. And then Palworld is ridiculous. Sales numbers are astronomical. Crazy. I mean, you're seeing 19 million, 12 million on Steam because it's really sad. Palworld has been having a lot of fun. I have no idea when it comes to legal implications of anything going on with that game, and I'm not going to get into it because we won't know until other people dive into it. That's one thing. But they stopped posting the sales numbers because the community manager who was posting on Twitter was getting harassed and attacked. So they stopped posting until because they stopped at like 8. They were going like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. And then at 8, they stopped. And then recently did like the 12 and the Xbox number together. But there was a point where like
20 million.
Yeah,
is I think where they're at. Yeah.
Probably now.
Wow.
Last time, like 5 minutes ago, it was 19 million. So I mean,
are
it's
you
probably
serious?
20 million.
Yeah,
no,
it's like it's to the point where I just got to refresh. Like
no,
I can't keep up
earlier
with
today,
the updated
I saw
data.
12 million on
7
Steam,
million on
7 million
Xbox. Which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
wow.
I mean, Travis had probably Sassy actually had a really good quote. There was some article last week saying, "Oh, here's this thing you're getting baited into." It's like, no, it's just a game for $27 or $30, depending on when you find it. I think it had like a deal early on, and it's like, yeah, or Game Pass, and it's like, and there's no microtransactions, and it's just fun, and people are enjoying a survival game combined with a genre that people didn't expect, and it's just there's a lot more depth than you expect to it, and I just had fun, and I've just been kind of goofing around and having fun, and so does 20 other million people apparently. So it's extremely popular.
It's great in multiplayer. It's so addictive, really hard to put down in multiplayer.
So it's like that's been fun, and then I think now February is going to switch me over to half of the other stuff I just talked about. So I did play a little Destiny on Tuesday. Didn't last long, but we'll talk about that a little later if you want to. Cog, what have you been up to?
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy
sorry, one
weekend.
more thing. I'm wearing a
Go
hat.
Niners, baby.
Go Niners.
Bang,
Go
bang.
Niners, baby.
Bang,
Faithful in the
bang.
building.
Bang, Niner gang.
Brandon, fix your face. Fix your face. Act like you with us.
He's part of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Cognito Travis.
That's my brother. He's still Bay Area.
Cognito Travis and I have this little like group DM, and I will tell you, it was a rough go during the first half.
The emotions in that DM
that
at
was
the
rough.
beginning, we were like,
that was rough. My wife gave me a hard time.
spooky.
My wife was like, "You're like Eeyore at the start of the game. Like, what is wrong with you?" She gave me, and then I told her going into halftime is like, if they come out and score one more time, I feel like that might be too much. And thank goodness, that didn't happen, and just absolute chaos. So yeah, it's
absolute.
That was a lot
magic.
of emotions, and then now we have a rematch 4 years later, which all I can say is I hope it's our time. Anyway,
I hope it's our time too. Yeah, no, bro. First of all, love that DM with all three of us, and to see us go from the complete edge of acceptance of what could happen.
I think Travis was like almost falling off the cliff at one point. He was the closest to jumping.
To see the magic, but we all felt it. Like when Travis said, we all felt it. We just like, look, we just got to accept.
Yep.
This is what is going to happen, right? And then when you see that little, I was like, I believe a little flash of hope. There it is, or whatever word I said. And then it starts to turn around.
It was that catch. It was Ayuk's catch, and it was
crazy.
Yeah.
But other than that, gaming like crazy. Ton of Tekken. I fell into the deep rabbit hole of it. Completed every mode. I thought I was gonna play it for like a couple of days and then go into Infinite Wealth, but it just had its teeth in me. So I did the story mode, the quest arcade, which is kind of like an onboarding. Speaking of onboarding new players, Tekken does a fantastic job for new players, new to fighting games, getting them into the to the fighting scene, which is really good. And the online play, the netcode is solid. Really good experience. And I'm rarely a guy that's an achievement hunter like that, but I seen how much I was playing and I had like 700 or 800 gamer score. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just go for it. So I got the 1,000 on that. And now finally the last 2 days has been like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So I'm getting there. Yeah, love the game. Is hilarious. I will say this though. Cannot recommend it if you did not play the first Like a Dragon.
I've heard you need to play 7 before. Is this
good?
8?
Yeah. You have to play 7 because it starts off. It starts off slow, but it's context for the people who played and know what happened immediately after. But if you're new, you're gonna be like, this is a lot of what's going on here kind of thing. And it's goofy stuff. It's fun stuff. But now I'm in Hawaii and all the fun is happening, and I absolutely love it. And some big reveals. So yeah, I'm gonna get going on that and hopefully get that out. Started, this week and next week, try to knock that thing out. But those have been the main games. But we got our returning guest who I missed because I think I wasn't on that episode.
You weren't on the first one.
Yeah, you weren't.
I weren't on that episode. So I'm dying to hear from DjFunk and Brandon and experiences and all that good stuff. How have things been with you guys?
Yeah.
I'll let Brandon go first. I feel like he played a lot longer than I did.
Actually, I think Brandon should go last because
okay, I guess you're right.
Brandon's experience was, I would say more akin to like hardcore Destiny players diving super deep and then finding the intricacies and eventually getting burned out. Paul's is pretty straightforward, I think, on how you bounced off of it. So I think we should start there personally. First of all, Ebontis, I just finally looked at the stream and I love this formation. It looks like we're about to get into the Megazord, Mighty Morphin. It's Mighty Morphin time.
Yeah, Morphin time.
Should we strike our poses of like we're about to get into?
Yes. For us older gentlemen, it's very Voltron-esque.
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's somebody got that reference. Who got the reference? Was it DJ? Okay.
We all did. Yeah.
I didn't know. I usually I'm the oldest in the room.
I'm an old man at this point.
Yeah, I think Brandon's competing. Yeah.
Oh, he's competing. Oh, he in my pocket. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go.
So, yeah.
OGs in the building. Salute.
So good, DjFunk. He hides it well under that beard. So let's start with Dr. DjFunk. Tell us your experience with Destiny. First of all, how long did you stay with it after our episode? How deep did you go? And since I already kind of spoiled the ending that you bounced off of it, for what reason did you bounce? And please be as hilarious as you want to, because I know.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Let me look. The last time I played, I'll tell you right now, February 12th, 2023. That should tell you.
Oh, you didn't make it like 2 months after the podcast, and you were.
Wow.
I think it was exactly 1 month. I think it was how long it was.
Yeah, but I put a decent amount in. I put like 115 hours, which I felt like was a good college try. Right?
He played a bunch that month. I'll say he was on like every night with his.
I was on every night playing like 4 or 5 hours a day, just trying to get a vibe for the game. Because I had, we have another mutual friend that Travis knows that is still playing. Like he was raiding last night for like 5 hours. Like I'm not even exaggerating. So Mariano's on it all the time, and so I still very much hear him talk about things. I hear, I still remember things, but yeah, I think really what did it in for me was just the Dares of Eternity, having to do that over and over and over again. Like, oh
why did you have
God.
to do it over and over again? By the way,
yeah, why?
I didn't have to, but we were trying to like min. Yeah. We were trying to min max, I guess, like what we needed for the week, and it was the fastest way to do so. And to get that item level up, and I was just playing with some other people, like, oh, this is what you should do to like quickly run through it so we can just get it done. And so we started doing that.
Or was you trying to get legendary shards, trying to increase your power level on your gear,
wow,
exactly, all those resources you're missing. So like, I think the fact that he played Dares of Eternity doesn't really matter. The problem is something that we've talked about on the show a lot, which is the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. If you come into Destiny and you have nothing, that grind to get just baseline materials is really tough. And I happen to know Brandon faced that uphill grind as well. It's just he stuck with it more. But yeah, Paul. So you at that point it felt like you were kind of just doing the same thing over and over again, and you never got to get to the fun activities, or did you at least get to stuff like raids and whatnot?
Yeah, I did try a raid. Was a Vow on the Witch Queen. I tried that out, and then I did a lot of Iron Banner too. That was actually pretty fun. I had a good time in Iron Banner, and like did a little bit of Gambit, and that was a good time as well too. Because I played a lot of MMOs growing up, and so I kind of knew what the whole thing was going to be in terms of like grinding through. It's just I'm not at that point in my life anymore. Like I'm like I need a game that respects my time. Like, and I feel like Destiny is just like it's the hamster wheel, right? It's the sunk cost fallacy. Like, oh, I've already put 600 hours in. I just might as well keep going. Spent $500 on, like coins and battle passes and gear and all these cosmetics. Like, I get it. I used to be a WoW player, so I know how hard it is to walk away from all that stuff.
You're currently a Final Fantasy 14 player, which is why I find you
from one addiction to another. That's really
well, here's the thing. I am way more tame. I'm way more tame in 14 than I was in WoW. I was like mythic raiding. I was like obsessed with parsing. I was like looking at WoW logs like all the time. And now, like in 14, I'm like, I play for a patch. Once I'm done with the content, I just like put it down until the next patch comes out. And like I'd say now, I'm more involved in like competitive like games. I guess like I play a lot of Street Fighter. Like, and I used to be a big Tekken head. Bro, and I'm like scared to pick. I know. Bro, I'm scared to pick it up.
It is. This is literally the perfect game if you've gone away. Like it literally, and it respects like all the new things to help onboard you, unlike the experience you had with Destiny the first time.
Yeah, and I think that was like the big thing for me is like I had to spend so much time like reading guides and like asking people who knew what to do, like asking Travis, and Travis explained things to me, and I'm like, "What's the lore? The traveler traveled to witness something with the gardener. I don't know what's happening. The gardener's gardening, but the traveler witnessed the traveler gardener.
The traveler witnessed the witness. I can't. I love it.
Traveler traveled.
He witnessed the witness witnessing something.
Yeah,
I think right. He witnessed the witness the garden with something. I don't know.
The witness.
My explanation was
gardening.
extremely accurate and on point. I mean, call me Bife at this point because I crushed it with that explanation. Sounds like.
Yeah, but I was just like, yeah, I was like, this is too much for me. I was like, I'm like, this is the Charlie with the pin board, like trying to make sense of this story. And I'm like, all right, I was like, forget the story. I'll just play the game. You know, I don't need like a great story to play a fun game. And, you know, like I said, I think the PvP aspects were great. I think the grindiness of everything else, and kind of to Travis's point, is like it takes so long. Like you feel like you're just climbing up, just the Sisyphus, right? Just rolling the boulder up, and then like a new patch comes out, then the boulder comes right back down, and it just feels like you lost all of that power. And I just hate that feeling, like where you don't really get to continue feeling like you're like really, really good at the end of the patch, and then the new patch starts, and you just feel so weak.
Now let me ask you this, because again I missed that episode in reference to like classes, abilities, gunplay, things of that nature. What were the positive things that you do remember when you were playing? What kept you in it for as long? Because you did still put a lot of hours. So I'm just curious what kept you in.
The gunplay was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It's very tight, very clean, you know, in comparison to something like Borderlands, right? Where Borderlands has some things that I think does better than Destiny. I think the biggest weakness is its gunplay. Like the gunplay is nowhere near as tight or clean as like the gunplay in Destiny 2 is. Build is really cool. The builds were fun. I played Hunter, and that was a really good time. Kind of swapping between like Void and Solar, right? And just constantly going back and forth between those two. Especially like, you know, using revolvers. Oh my God, so satisfying to get headshots with those things. Like it was just great.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, literally just blasting heads off. It was so fun, especially like in PvP. Just activate that your ult and just one shot everybody. Man, that was great. Super satisfying. So I think that's what kept me in for a long time, was like that gunplay. And like when the game was good, it was good, right? Like when you hit those highs, it was great. It's just like it's those peaks and valleys, right? Where I feel like I was up here for maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. Then the next 3 hours of my play was like down.
I knew you were back that. Next question I got for you, because you said you were a WoW player, correct? Like you okay. So this is something I always want to ask a WoW player in reference to your experience raiding there versus a Destiny raid. Like, how was your raid experience? Because I think if you pick Val's a kind of a tough one for the first one. I feel like it's an intense one, but what was your feeling about a Destiny raid, positive or negative?
Yeah, I think it was really fun how challenging they were. It's different than like Mythic raiding, right? I think problem with WoW is WoW's raiding scene appeals to the professionals who play, because they have like World First and all that stuff, and they stream it, and there's like tons of money made in that. And so I feel like there's a mistake where Blizzard likes to make their raids around add-ons, like Curse Client, you know, weak auras, things of that nature, like DBM, which is Deadly Boss Mod's like a big one. Like, you know, don't step in the fire. Like it has all these things that tell you what to do. And so if you don't download all of those apps and like run those on the back end while you're playing WoW, you're never going to get to what you want to do. Versus Destiny, it's more of just like a little bit of research. I like the addition of like more puzzles, versus like WoW is just a lot of coordination of like, you know, 25 people or 20 people to make sure they all do the right thing. Because that's the big difference, right? Is like it's a smaller group. It's easier to kind of keep in control for like who's doing good and who's doing bad. Versus in WoW is a lot of times like, yeah, I was a main tank, and so sitting there doing what I had to do every single time, and some DPS like misses it, like, you know, they mess up the DPS check, right? Like it's like a 30-second meter they got to burn, or they just like, you know, die to a stupid mechanic, and it's just like a domino effect. Everyone dies, and you're just sitting there banging your head for 4 hours. Whereas I didn't feel that way in Destiny. And also the Sherpas in Destiny are really cool too. People just like take you through those raids. That's a fantastic thing. You don't really see that in other MMOs. Maybe 14 is the exception to that. There's a lot of really cool people in that community as well, but Destiny I think is really good in that sense. That the end game is a lot of help. People are willing to teach you. Not to say that I have run to toxic people as well, but for the most part, everyone was very helpful at the end stages of the game when I was like, you know, tapering off.
Very cool. Oh, thanks for that. I was very curious.
Yeah. So Paul, just so you know, was the one, since you missed the episode, Cog, who had a very hilarious monologue when he was introed to the game, where he was talking about every time he logged on, he got a different cutscene for a different story.
Yeah, you know shit, that was crazy.
He said like the first time he turned on the game, he got like an overview of the the current whatever the current season was, and then the next time he booted up his Xbox, it was like a guy kissing a robot, and he was like,
yeah, and I'm like,
what
the hell is happening?
I love this.
No context. He was like, what is happening right now? And like it just kept doing that to him. And then Brandon made the very I don't think this happened on the episode, but Brandon and I were talking a little bit later, and he pointed out that right after they started playing, Destiny had a cutscene in it where it explained all the different factions and kind of gave an overview of the story. And Brandon was like, dude, that's what they should have shown us when we started playing. Like, why is that cutscene buried in like some super like unfindable thing? Yeah.
So I totally blocked that out. That was like a crazy, it was like 5 days in a row. I remember just like logging in and like different cutscenes playing. I had no idea. It was like,
and then it would drop him
on the move. Who's this person?
Yeah. It forces you into that mission. To that cutscene. Wow.
He was
and then it's just exactly. And just characters I have no idea who they are. I'm like, who's this? Like Cade 6? What? Okay, yeah. What, he's dead now? Okay, I guess he's dead. He just got his head blown off. I don't know what's happening. He was just alive like a second ago.
The first thing you walk in, all of a sudden you just see Cade do this like, rise of glory, do some awesomeness, and then get killed. You're like,
yeah, exactly.
That is your introduction.
That is so interesting because what it's doing then is any season that is missed, they're force loading the opening of the season, but that has no relevance to a new player who has no idea what that's funny that you went through that.
It doesn't do anything to intro them. It just like drop. And then one of the cutscenes he got was for Witch Queen, which he had not bought. And it played the cutscene, and then it dropped him in the first mission. And then when he beat the mission,
those are like free, right?
For Witch Queen, and like that was like the third time he'd logged on. He was like, "Wait, what?" Like it just let me play the first mission and then booted me out.
It was like it played it, and then it said, "Sorry, you don't have it unlocked yet. Bye." And it's like, "Oh, okay."
Damn, Velvet
it did that 5 days in a row, and every day he was like FaceTiming me and being like, "Dude, what is this game? Like, why am I getting this?"
It was so manic.
What is happening? He was like pissed every day. He was like, "Why does this keep happening every day? I turn on the console."
I'm just like, they did have the nerve to try to charge him right after doing
it. I know, dude.
Here's what, and then like the fact that like I bought, I forgot what version it was, but it came with everything, and then finding out there's a bunch of vaulted content.
Probably,
like
he bought the Legacy Collection, and then he couldn't access to the campaigns that were in it.
Yep, exactly.
Is that what with Red War or something? Which one was in it that they couldn't access?
Red War, Forsaken,
Forsaken,
and
yikes!
Because Legacy probably was Beyond Light,
because he bought it when it was on sale before they vaulted all that stuff, and then he waited like a year to play, and then in that time they took all the content out of it.
Yeah, we did my boy DjFunk dirty. Damn.
Yeah, so I think from Paul's perspective,
I'm sorry, man. We tried to hold you.
He had to watch a dude make out with a robot, and then they asked him for $60, and that was his entire experience.
Just an average. Hey, that's just an average day in San Francisco, though.
That's true, dude. Sure. Welcome. Yeah, so he's used to that. So I think with that, we can move on to probably what will be a much deeper conversation, because I think he played for 9 months or something like that. He was playing more Destiny than me by a lot.
Wow.
For a lot of last year. So yeah, I think he actually showed me through one of the dungeons. He had like done it 3 times, and I logged on and was like, "Hey, help me with it." So, Brandon, if you'll take us through your experience with Destiny and kind of where you landed.
Yeah, so I played for about a year. I started in July, I think, of might have been 2022 season of the Spooky Ghosts, season of the Haunted, and then went through Plunder, Seraph, Lightfall expansion, Defiance, and then I think I cut off or stopped part of the way through Season of the Deep, which was the whale that gives you the exposition dump at the end, almost completely unconnected from any sort of storing or what you're doing during the season.
The history of the Witness 5 or 6 weeks into that second season of the year.
It was so disappointing. I'm not a big fan of a lot of Destiny story. I just wish it was better. That would have kept me hooked into. I mean, there's lore and stuff, which is nice, but so my general experience, I had this similar experience with Paul where I was like, what is going on? I'm being dropped into this expansion. I don't know what it is. It wants me to pay money now. Okay, let me figure that out. And then the weird web, and I don't know if they've even fixed that yet. I know they've been trying to tinker or adjust with it, but that web of like, what do I actually buy? Dungeon, the hill I will die on is dungeon keys should not be $20. That's insane.
Agreed.
They should be like 10 maybe. So that's just completely out of whack. So. But yeah, my experience when I play a game, I tend to dive into it super hardcore. That's the only thing I do. I honestly don't have a lot of time aside from work, and otherwise I'm compromising sleep to play, and I do that sometimes. But it's just I got to pick one game and stick with it, and I like to dive deep and get into the guts, and and learn and master everything. That's interesting to me. So one of the things that did impress me about the game, and something I miss still today, is when I get into a game with a first-person perspective. If there's not like every time I can't slide, I'm just super sad. Like I reflexively am trying to run and then like slide like in Destiny, and then into the double jump. It's just it just feels good. So that's something I miss and will probably miss forever. But yeah, as far as everything else, I mean, I remember we had that conversation is new lights, and there was a lot of discussion of things that were missing from the game, and the game actually delivered shortly thereafter on fixing a lot of that. There was the mod system that was complete garbage.
Yes.
Of course, I was talking with LordCognito about this before we started. You had to wait like it was 3 months in a 3-month window. Ada might have offered that mod once, and if you didn't pick it up, you couldn't do an entire build.
Yep.
That was hot trash, and they fixed a lot of that.
They're getting rid of legendary shards, which I know was a big problem for you. He was shard poor like the whole time he was playing. It was a big problem.
Wow.
Yeah, I felt like I had to budget, like I was on a budget. Like this is the amount of money I have for groceries, and I can't spend it on anything else fun. So yeah, people are doing all kinds of weird, gambling with it because they have tens of thousands. This was Destiny. I'll be honest, Destiny was the first game where I was actually excited to get an opportunity to exploit. I don't like exploiting games.
You were like, yes.
Yeah, so there was one thing I can't remember which dungeon it was. I think it was the season of the haunted dungeon with Keitel, and there was a boss that you could lure to jump off the cliff.
Jump off the thing, you was
there.
Yeah. Oh, I know exactly. That's how everybody got their artifice armor that week. I remember.
So, and by the way, they shut it down in like 18 hours. But I for whatever reason, fortunately, the 18 hours aligned with a section at which I was able to do it for a few hours, and I got up to like a couple thousand shards, and I felt like super rich for once. But yeah, and then and then I got on the next day and it was already shut down. And I was like, damn it, I should have. I don't know. I should have stayed on longer. Should have called in sick. I don't know, but yeah, that was a difficulty. I had a lot of conversations with someone who dragged me to the game in the first place, and they were very into this concept of like being rewarded for, I guess, like people who grind or spend a lot of time should be rewarded. And I get the idea of having your time be valuable or not wasted, but for me that doesn't excite me about a game, and especially with my time as limited as it is. I don't mind. What I really like is a skill progression or a skill gap. If there's a separation in terms of loot or options or things you get based on demonstrating or escalating in skill and accomplishing something, I don't mind investing the time to get mastery, right? But spending the time just to get the random rolls on like the rows from comp every week, and that's actually one of the things I think that forced me. It didn't fully force me, but maybe Hunters not being that great in PvP and Titans being super dominant was another thing. I did. No, I loved playing a Titan as well. I mean, I played them right before they nerfed the shoulder charge, and even then it was a minor nerf. But like being able to just shoulder charge spam across the map, like beautiful. So at least it was fun for me. Yeah,
I tell about that all the time, but
Yeah, but it was. I mean, I have a mouse wheel, so like I can, I was able to do the PC thing. But yeah, it was. I would play all three, and it was nice in terms of learning the classes a little bit. But I would play all three just to get my Rose roll because I wanted that hand cannon roll that would come out, and I don't think I ever quite got the one I wanted. But I think I got like a slide shot explosive payload. That was pretty nice, but it didn't have as much range as I wanted. But it was good. So I mean, I enjoyed the rating. I really enjoyed. I think the rating is really well done.
Which one did you do? Which raid did you also
Val? You did
all of them.
Wow.
When I say he went deep, he went deep. He did every
raid. All right, hold on. So we got to slow down now.
He also got, I think he got the Grandmaster.
Nightfalls for multiple seasons.
Okay. Let me back you up. So
the
I got this. Sorry to interrupt you. I got to know this one. So you did Vow. You did Last Wish.
Yes, I didn't do Last Wish very much. To me, it wasn't that interesting, but I did it enough to clear it fully. Yeah.
Out of all the raids you did, which one did you enjoy the most, if any?
I think I probably would have to say Vow. I really enjoyed Vow.
Oh, yeah. Newbies loving Vow. I'm blown away that both of you kind of enjoy Vow. I felt like, from my perspective as a veteran, I felt like maybe Vow would be like really intense. with the symbols and like especially what's the part where you have to when you go with it's like the frenetic switching sides and then you keep moving
the relay race.
I would say like Last Wish is way more complicated in terms of the stuff you have to do. I think that one's way crazier.
Interesting. So continue. I'm sorry to interrupt you with the
no
Vow
worries.
thing. I'm curious about this Vow situation.
Vow aesthetically also set itself apart. That was always one of the things. It was our first time really spending a lot. I mean, we got the walk into the pyramid ship at the end of the Shadowkeep campaign. We're like, this is kind of cool. But we went through an entire pyramid ship that had the kind of environmental lore, the giant kind of serpent throughout. Like a lot of that did it, and then you top it off with a boss that we hadn't really seen kind of before. It was with mechanics that actually moved, which is what always still one of my favorite bosses in Destiny was Rolk. But it's like that's still part of. Sorry, that was my thoughts. Anyway, back to
I got you. Yeah, continue with your standouts. Your standouts of Vow.
Also, favorite emote is kicking the Guardian as
that is the best emote in the game.
The best emote in the game. As soon as I don't think I had to spend real money on that. I usually tried not to spend real money, but if I would have spent any real money on anything in the Destiny store, it would have been that. If they would have not offered it for Bright Dust or whatever. So, but yeah, no, I also enjoy Deepstone Crypt. Deepstone Crypt is fun, and I think that's a lot more beginner friendly, and it's just more interesting than like a Vault of Glass, right? So. But yeah, I did every raid. I did a first 24-hour clear of Root of Nightmares. Not that it was hard. But so I
appreciate the Vault of Glass slander. That was great.
Yeah, you gave him one. You gave him an alley-oop. That was an inside joke. That's an inside joke. With our raid rankings. Continue.
Vault of Glass is. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's
Vault of Glass was cool when it came out. But I agree. Like if it's not your first raid, it's not going to be your favorite because it is pretty big.
Fair.
Yeah, it's a good first raid, right? Like that's what I think it is. I've heard horror stories of people taking new lights who are under light level or under power into Vault. What were we just talking about? Vow of the Disciple. No, Vow of the Disciple. Vow of the Disciple. And I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself and to the entire rest of the raid group? That's just awful. Like, take them through VOG, take them through DSC. We're like, there's objectives, right, to do, and not so much doing enough damage or whatnot. So, but yeah, so I did all of the raids. I got Conquer multiple times or gilded it repeatedly. I was a rank.
Dude, you went deep.
Yeah. I think I was a rank 10 Guardian for like 2 or 3 seasons.
He was taking me through Grandmaster Nightfalls a couple of the seasons he was playing. He was like, yo, let's do a farm together. And I was like, tell me what to do, boss.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed the PvP. I don't think I got very good at it, but I went flawless a couple times. That's like twice, I think, is it. So I did that, and then that was starting toward the end, and I'm like, okay, I kind of did the thing. I don't think I have the time in my life right now to grind out like going, getting my KDA better, right? I was starting to get better. I was seeing improvements, but I was like, okay, it's going up by like, 0.1 every month or every other month. Eventually get to a place where I feel good or proud of it. But aside from that, it was just a massive time sink. And I was also looking at it. I will say Lightfall was pretty disappointing, and so that was a large blow. I never do this, but I went ahead. I think my friends at the time were doing it. I just went, okay, I'll do a pre-order. It's not that big. If I light the money on fire, I light the money on fire. I'm probably going to do that. So because I was questioning at the time of Lightfall if I should pre-order everything, including all the seasons. I wasn't sure I was going to stick around. I went ahead and did it anyway, and predictably, I didn't stick around. But I felt like kind of in one sense I got everything I wanted to get out of the game and the enjoyment I could get out of the game. And I think the main reason I would have stuck around is PvP. But again, I was kind of at that point where I had plateaued in my improvement process, hit the milestones I wanted to hit, and thought, do I really want to invest this time repeatedly on grinding away PvP? No, is the answer there. And then, although again, I enjoyed it a lot. And then the other, I think, thing that was the issue was just the story kept, and just the player tied to the story, right? So we had a season of Plunder, right? The pirate season where
yes.
We spent all this time gathering these relics, and then off screen, a random NPC says, "Oh, I'll take these, thank you, don't worry about it." By the way, the guy who had issues with this in the past and became a murdering psychopath or whatever because he had one piece of this, right? And he's like, yeah, let me have all of it, it's fine. And you're like, okay. And then he goes and grinds it up and makes it into tea, right? Like that's just, first of all, kind of insane on its face, but also if I had known I was like getting Yeah, Nescafe. Yeah, so it whole meme out of it, right? So if I had known I was gathering ingredients for tea, that's fine. At least I was contributing to the making of this tea. But basically, you did this thing that had nothing to do with your success condition, or very little, and it just kind of, and that's similar to the season of the Leviathan, right? It's just you have that witness exposition dump, and I just came off as like an sophomore, college philosophy student, or maybe someone walks in a freshman seminar and says everything's subjective and I'm full of existential angst. So,
Yes.
so it came off a little, like that to me. And so, the writing wasn't that amazing, the reveal wasn't that amazing, but the delivery of it was just, I don't know. I don't want to say hot trash, but like, you have, space whale person or space whale gives you random story, and really you didn't need to do any of the season to get there. I mean, ostensibly you were helping jog the thing's memories or sync with it, but it was such a weak tie between what you were doing. I don't mind doing fetch errands, but like, can you at least make them tie a little closer to the cool reveal? Like you feel like you contributed to that, not you did the thing and then other people did the cool thing because you did a tiny little part. I just didn't really sit well. But I also just I didn't see the writing improving. I figured I can watch the cinematics on YouTube when they came out. And then also the other thing is this was I'll tie back real quick to the conversation I was having with a friend who was playing this and very insistent on the like you gotta reward people for grinding and blah 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 blah, and that's such a good thing. And I'm like, dude, play any other game. Like this game does not respect your time. And he was very, very hesitant. And then he comes back to me when a little game Baldur's Gate 3 had come out, and he was playing it, and he was like, "Man, I get onto that game, and I just log on to play it not because I need to get anything, but it's just I enjoy. I want to play it because it's fun." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what gaming should be, right? Like I don't like you're not playing that game to like do your chores, right? Like sometimes when I was playing Destiny, I felt like I was getting on to do my chores, so I could get my legendary shards or get my drop for the week or whatever it was. And yeah, man, I never got conditional finality from Root of Nightmares, and I feel like that's such a crucial like PvP weapon, especially if you're serious about trials and popping bubbles. So I didn't pick that up, and I'm like, do I really want to grind Root of Nightmares to hope to get this gun someday? And I was like, I just no.
I'm in the same mindset. Like I've been lucky on some of the exotics from dungeons or raids, but if I haven't got them in the times that I've been, had some raid buddies who wanted to run on a few, like the first few early weeks, I'm in the same boat. I was like, because you'd never quite know how much. And yeah, there's some triumphs where you get a better chance, but do I need to do it the 20th time to get the thing? And then maybe if I don't, I'm like, how much longer do you go? And no, for being as much as I've played the game, I mean, Travis did it 80 times for.
I have every exotic in the game.
Yep.
Nice.
So he is on the other side.
My life is forfeit.
Yeah. So it's like as much as I've played, that's one of those things I fully agree that I don't like that system of maybe you will 80 times from now. And I'm like, that isn't great.
Yeah, they definitely got to improve that for sure. I was gonna say in reference to the exotics, because obviously you were grinding for a long time. So like, it's actually for both of you. Like, which exotics or weapons kind of stood out, or for builds and stuff that you guys did enjoy? I'm just curious.
Paul, if you want to go, or that's fine. Or I can
go. You can go.
Yeah. Okay. God, which exotics did I enjoy the most? Honestly, I enjoyed a lot of them, but I'm trying to think. I was never really, I'll be honest with you, as much as exotics are fun, I was never interested in building around exotics, to be honest with you. I felt like if I had a build and the build itself was good and I had good weapons that did high DPS to the boss, I'm solid, right? Or offered utility. So I would use things like Wither Horde or Arbalest all the time because they were the most functional thing to use in a raid from a PvE perspective.
You missed their efficiency over here. Okay, I see what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
I see what's going on.
I GM his tabletop RPG sessions, and let me tell you, he likes to min max.
Okay, so we the same, but
he learns
like
the rules.
Yeah, he's super efficient. Okay, I get where he's at.
I read the rules, which is probably good for someone who's an attorney, but yeah, I like to read the rules. I like to read the instruction manual. Yeah,
makes sense.
It tends to help sometimes. Yeah.
Both of these guys also play Magic the Gathering, so they're both very much into the rules. If you know that, if you know that game, it is very much for a specific type of brain.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, I enjoy diving into that. So that for me is fun. I'm trying to think in terms of PvP. I mean, I use No Time to Explain because it was practical. And I'm not a sniper. I wish I was good enough to become a sniper, but I'll make the excuse of I'm not on PC, so I don't get reticle friction. But still, it's an excuse. There's plenty of good PC snipers, and I was never going to be that. But I enjoyed hand cannons. Hand cannons felt buttery smooth. I loved 3-tapping people when I could. So it was less about honestly, it was less about exotics and more about just really good, well quality crafted weapons. Ostringer and Rose in particular when I had that. So and there might have been times where I don't even know if I was running an exotic all the time in PvP. So just because you had good legendaries, or if you did. So I was mostly a handgun and shotgun, or at times a pulse rifle shotgun guy. I could not put the shotgun down. So fusions never made any sense to me, and so for me it was always like I was so happy with the update where they fixed shotgun pellet spread, and and then I switched from I think lightweights to precision frames, and that and I was having a good time.
Never made sense to you. You missed an era. There were several eras where anybody using a shotgun was an idiot. It was like fusions were just the way to go because they could kill you for so far away. A single burst. It was crazy,
like, main
dude.
ingredient Voops were.
Oh my god, dude! What was that gun? The one everybody was using, the fusion. It was a void that had like an instant charge and was killing everybody. It's the blue one. I can visualize what it looked like in my mind.
Well, like
but,
main ingredient was Arc. I know that was a popular
one. No. It was a void one, and
the
the gun was blue. It was like a blue fusion rifle. Somebody in the comments, I'm sure, will.
Somebody said Snorri.
I don't think it's
Prescott.
I can't remember the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that when that gun was a thing, my god, that was
terrorizing people, right?
It was terrible, dude. And every time you saw it, you were just like,
Snorri? Was this a legendary drop?
Aaron Till. It was Aaron Till.
Yes.
That was it. It was Aaron Till. Aaron Till, dude.
The map. Yeah.
That had a
there was an era where Aaron Till was just disgusting, dude. It was so bad. And I was using that in trials because I'm a scumbag. Yeah.
So what about you, DjFunk? What about the weapons? Any exotics for you? Any things that stood out during that time?
Yeah, I remember getting the Osteostriga like maxed out on that. That thing was
Poison boy.
That was really fun. I definitely liked the Thorn. That was a cool gun too. Just the hand cannons in general were fun. I had one rocket launcher that I maxed out too. I can't remember which one it was, but it was the one you got on Mars, I'm pretty sure. But that was really good. And then No Time to Explain, obviously, like insane gun. Those were probably like my favorite. Anything that was like really good for PvP. Like I had Ace of Spades, but I like rarely used it. But it was cool to have. Trying it out. Like
Ace still feels good to this day. It's like one of those they've just made it kind of perfect and haven't broken it yet.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
Crimson, also really fun gun. That was really good to use.
Nice.
Crimson's easy though. Anytime somebody uses Crimson in PvP, I'm like, you
don't respect it.
You don't respect it.
No. It's like the COD perk when you ever get a kill, you get a little bit of health back, right? Same thing.
I always hated the COD perk where they dropped a grenade afterwards.
Remember that one? Oh yeah, I forgot. It was the other one. Last stand when you're on the floor.
Yeah, you're on the floor is one, but the grenade afterwards, no, that can.
I forgot about that.
No,
so dirty.
I mean, that's my move at IRL. If I ever get capped, I'm dropping a grenade for sure.
I go down all the time.
For sure, dude.
So Travis's outfit is a suit with a grenade on hand at all times. He's kind of like the Joker with that one. So
the pin halfway out at all times, ready to go.
That's hella funny.
Halfway out. That's how Travis lives.
True.
But yeah, there was one that I know people were like, at least when I first came in, everyone was telling me to try and get. It was like a rocket launcher. It was like twin something that shot two rockets.
The two-tail fox.
Two-tail fox. Yeah.
Good luck getting that.
Really hot, actually.
And that was
right. I got a third tail. That's right.
Oh, it did. Oh, wow. See, there you go. Three-tail fox now.
It also has some weird thing, or if you moved while firing it, it didn't fire the second rocket or something dumb. I hope they fixed that. But
I think that's been fixed.
Yeah, that was a bug.
There was one gun too. I can't remember what it was. But everybody was using it in PvP when I was playing. It was like a lever action rifle that was insane. I can't remember what
Dead Man's Tail.
Dead Man's
Tail. Yeah, that gun was like super satisfying to get kills with. Holy shit. Like I love that gun.
I loved that gun. But they nerfed the crap out of it.
They nerfed it.
Yeah,
it was so good on console. It was so good on console for a while.
Yeah, tough. That was probably like those are like my favorite exotics for sure.
Oh, cool. I was very curious. Those are good choices for both of you.
So I kind of want to ask you both. This is always something I kind of harp on. How does the armor system feel in the game to you? I'm trying to figure out how to ask the question.
Without leading the witness, you mean?
Yeah, I was trying to leave it open. How does the armor system feel?
I guess
Paul
for
has no
me,
comments on the armor system. I'm just kidding.
I mean, like, I mean, I have some, right? Because I play Diablo and other MMOs, and like, it's the numbers game, right? Just like a little bit of stat boost. Like, it reminds me a lot of like when you're min maxing at endgame WoW, like when you're trying to get the mythic rating, and like literally that 2 to 3 more stats of like hit rate or dex is that important to like kill a boss. And it just reminds me too much of, again, like kind of what Brandon was saying. It's just, it really drains your time because you're just grinding for like a 2% or 1% increase. And I hate that. I much prefer like more realistic static numbers, like bring up Baldur's Gate, right? Like it's like, okay, it might be, 2 or 3 more armor, 2 or 3 more damage, but it feels huge, right? Because the numbers are scaled back to, like, at a certain point it feels like, who cares, right? What's the difference to me in my brain between 500,000 damage and like 1,000,000? It doesn't feel that different at a certain point. It's the same thing with like with Diablo in that sense. It's like, what's 200k to 400k damage? It doesn't really feel, it's very arbitrary. It's just to see that those numbers go up, up, and up. And so I think it kind of, like, to Brand's point before, like skill based determination for gear, I think, is the best way to go, instead of like who grinded the most, right? And I think some aspects of like Final Fantasy 14 are good in that. Like, they have something called Ultimate Raids. It's like their hardest tier, and if you finish it, because they usually release, like, I think first or second patch of like an expansion, you get like the best weapon for the entire expansion, just because you were good enough to beat that raid. And now you don't have to get a new weapon. Like, that's your weapon. It's got the best stats. All the other gear, of course. What was that? Not a guaranteed drop.
Okay,
no, I think it's there's a certain amount of drops per run.
Gotcha.
But like, once you get it, all right, you're set. Like, now you just go back and you kind of run it, beat your times or whatever, right? And help other people get the weapons, right? But that's it. You're done. Like, and like, there's other weapons you can get too, but that's usually it. Like, that is it. You're set, and all you have to worry about now is your armor. So I think things like that would make the game, I think, more appealing for some people, at least at the highest level. Like, if you have like a really hard raid tier, like a raid tier that's like super difficult, you beat it. Hey, since you're so good at the game, here's your reward. You get like a piece of gear. Maybe it's not guaranteed. Maybe it's like a 50% drop rate or something. So maybe you do have to twice. Maybe that's it at most to get it. But once you got it, you're set. Then you can do everything else you want to do and actually enjoy the game.
Fair.
Yeah. For me on the armor system, well, they resolved one of my biggest complaints with by unlocking the armor mods for everyone. The Guardian ranks, I didn't play long enough to like fall down in rank and be annoyed by it. So I don't know, like when I was deep in my grinding it at the time, so I was constantly rank 10, and so everything was unlocked for me, and I didn't have to think about it anymore. I mean, I think some people complained about the big armor mod overhaul, that it got too simple and there wasn't enough interesting build stuff going on. To some extent, I felt that, but I didn't hate it. It worked for me. So here's the thing, and I don't know, I would recommend this over and over again to anybody who plays this game. Like, don't just play the game. You need a couple of apps. And I'm a guy who hates apps. I hate apps. I have too many on my phone. Everybody wants me to get one. I do not need an app for Experian, a credit agency. Like, why are you making an app, man? So stop. So when it comes to Destiny, Dim is amazing. So I would use Dim, of course.
Okay.
But I also use D2 Armor Picker, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. And I would because look, I like optimizing or min-maxing, as Travis put it, but I don't like wasting my time doing it. So I have a computer that will just do the math for me and tell me. Yeah, I'm optimizing my time. Like, do it for me. That's also why, like, content creators, you guys are great. Go do all the hard work and figure out the secrets and just tell me, and then I can go use them, right? So yeah, no, you guys. I mean, hey, look, you guys are getting, hopefully getting paid for me watching, right? So
get out there and do the hard work and let me know what's sufficient.
Let me reap the benefits.
By the way, I didn't know about Dim. I didn't know about Dim to my last week playing.
Oh shit!
That's brutal. Yeah. That's like
no one told me about that.
You would fly into the tower.
Travis, this is your fault.
Yeah.
How did you not tell him
every
for 6
time?
months?
Yeah, I was.
What do you use?
Wow. And you know what's sad? They finally added the vault in space now.
Yeah,
so now it's like down in deep since you guys have been gone, which is kind of hilarious. Wow. You were damn. I feel your pain on that.
Yeah. If I boot up Destiny, I literally have Dim open. If I'm playing,
it's like literally saved as a tab in my browser to automatically pop up when I play. That is wow. That would
I'm sorry about that, but that also is one of those things. It is that much of a game changer, and I was like, I don't know how to say it. It shouldn't be, but
It's a time saver. I wouldn't call it a game changer. It doesn't change the game.
No, but it is a massive time saver, quality of life. Like,
yeah,
it's a shortcut. I got what he said. Yeah. So anyway,
I don't use it. But
do you just go to the vault, or what do you do?
You fly to the tower.
Oh, you mean when I transfer items?
Yeah.
I use Ishtar Collective.
Okay, well that's basically dim.
Okay.
Well. Wait. I don't use it for any of the stuff you guys are talking about. I don't use it to
what you use it for?
Min-max like my weapons or stuff. I just read shit.
Yeah,
you're just doing your switching, right? You're swapping.
D2
right?
armor picker is different. D2 foundry, you can look at all the weapons and stuff. That's one thing. But
when people talk about dim, a lot of times I would say most of the time they're not talking about just bringing stuff out of the vault and sending it to the vault. They're talking about the like efficiency,
loadouts,
your best loadout stuff, and that sort of stuff that it does. And
that's true.
There's also that I think that's part of dim, the part where it tells you if it's a good roll or not or whatever. And I've just never felt the need to do that, mostly because I'm just like, I know what the good perks are, and if I've never used a perk before, I kind of want to try it out. And also I'm kind of the opposite of Brandon in that I hate using the most efficient loadout because I just don't want to feel like a bot, I want to use the weird shit. I want to use like a weird weapon with strange perks and stuff that's a little asynchronous, because I feel, especially in PvP where my skill is enough, that when I use weird weapons, it kind of keeps people off guard, where they're not sure like how to kind of take me and stuff like that. So I like to keep people thinking. And also I just don't want to use the most efficient thing because I'm just like, nah. Let's just do something weird. It's a game. Let's have fun,
This is me. You share that one because that's the one where it's like I have like the competitive be like, I don't want to like sell out to that, even though it is the most efficient thing. It's like I don't want to be like everyone. I want to beat you with something that is still efficient, but not too many people are using. But I get where you go. But I
love beating people in PvP who have the meta loadout with a loadout that's completely not meta.
Yes,
that's why I play the game.
And then they get pissed. What does he use? I can't believe I died to that. What is that?
Like, yeah, dude. Yeah, I just beat you with the sidearm, bro, from 4 seasons ago. It's just funny to me. It's just funny to watch people.
He's that way in Magic, also. By the way,
I am.
I feel it though.
Of course,
I can feel that.
I can feel Travis being anti-meta in just about everything he tries.
I can see that,
dude.
If he's being
anti-meta, Magic decks are funny.
If he's being like a dungeon master, he's probably just trying to screw with everybody who's playing with him the entire time.
Nah.
I'll say he does fine. Yeah, he tries to tell a story and have he's fair to his players. So you would think he wasn't, right, based on everything else.
That's the one area. If I'm a GM, I have to be impartial, or the game has no meaning. So I'll put aside my personal async. Yeah, but
okay.
I mean, him as a player is probably a completely different story.
Completely different.
As a player, I will cause havoc, but I haven't played as a player in years. I mean,
I feel you. So Brandon, you were saying as far as like efficiency and going, this was kind of the first game that really made you go outside the game for efficiency and basic, day-to-day life stuff, quality of life stuff, or were you not as much?
Yeah, I guess I would say to that question, it is a game I think that really required it to be functional, right, or to just not be an awful experience. At the same time, I am someone who just does that all the time. So I do have a WoW history. There's a reason I don't play WoW anymore, and maybe to some extent, Destiny was a mini WoW experience as well.
Part of the prenup.
I'm married. Yeah, I'm married. Yeah. I have a life. I don't want to, lose my job rating at 4 in the morning.
You try that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like at the time I was playing too was the worst because I was on an Oceanic server. So I was rating at like 4 in the morning, and then Pacific savings time happened, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get to bed an hour earlier. Nope, it was an hour later now. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. But yeah, it was so that was one where I grabbed all the add-ons or the things because all the vanilla stuff's not good enough, right? And then you're sitting there reading like the Elitist Jerks forum or whatever that website was, and going in on that.
What's the Elitist Jerks forum?
I think there was an Elitist Jerks site. Someone can let me know on that for a while. But and they would rigorously moderate. Like if you were not telling anybody anything interesting, or you were asking what they perceived as a dumb question, it was gone, and if you did it too many times you were banned, right? It was that kind of like level of we need to only look at the best top-notch PvE DPS razor thin margins information here, right? So
I love the snobbishness. I love this.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I didn't care for the snobbishness, but I was able to fit in and not get banned and get the info, right? So that for me, that was
weasel into this
I was able to not get called out as being
this is hilarious. Continue.
But yeah, I do that all the time.
He's just lucky to be in. He's just happy to be in the room with you.
Happy to be in the room.
I love how he's able to continue and fraternize with these people.
Yeah, keep my head down, sponge the information. I do some other things. I mean, Elden Ring has a whole bunch of that one's a little bit less easy to find, but like there are people out there who are just spreadsheet testing, getting like true lengths of attacks, and there's a bunch of. It's something that I get irritated a little bit by. The game's having a lack of transparency mechanics upsets me.
Yes, good point.
I think Destiny's Destiny has a lot of that. It got better at some of it, but is still pretty bad at a lot of it. And Elden Ring
games are great at that.
Yeah. Oh, fighting games. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. So, or great at having transparency, or
having transparency. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, so that's good. But like, yeah, with Elden Ring, there's a whole stance damage. That's a whole mechanic. But where do you see that? There's no bar for that anywhere, right? Like, and people had to go like test, on an empirical basis to get the numbers to put on. So some super nerds did that, and I'm a nerd myself, but I'm not that nerdy. So I go and sponge off that information. It enhances my enjoyment of the game because it's frustrating, I think, to have expectations about a play experience and then they don't match at all. And you're like, why am I not succeeding? Why is this not connecting? And then you find out there's some secret mechanic you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
Right? So,
well said.
So that's also my paranoia about that, I guess, or dissatisfaction with that causes me to dive in perhaps deeper than I should. But I have rarely done testing myself on things. Oh God, there was that was it Nightmare of the Evil Dead? The game with Ash the Chainsaw guy that
Evil Dead the game.
I did very early on because nobody else was doing it. I was like, fine, I'll go test this myself. And then I was the super nerd for a second, reported numbers on things.
Nice.
So
content creation potential.
No, Brandon and Paul, they help me on reviews sometimes when they've got time.
Nice. That's dope.
I have a backlog of friends who are unpaid laborers will help me out with some of these reviews. But hey, I give them codes,
Yeah, that's true.
You got them with them contracts. I respect it.
Get the free plays,
respect it.
But yeah, Brandon's my go-to for like asynchronous multiplayer games and anything with number crunching. Like he helped me out on the Outriders review. I think we did that.
That was fun. I actually enjoyed that. Dead by Daylight I have a background in Dead by Daylight, so that's probably why I fit decently for asynchronous or asymmetric multiplayer games. So yeah.
No, it's great points because and E would attest to this. Another huge problem with Destiny. I think the last time we had it, I'm gonna say one of those season of opulences where there was an enemy that people were actually in a controlled room that you could always go to, that people could actually damage test and do numbers and get stats and stuff. And now what are they going to Carl in this like random
they're going to a lost sector where there's a guy beefy enough that you don't take him out in like one rocket kind of thing. But previously, you could do damage testing in God, what was that called?
The Menagerie?
Yeah, it was. I believe it was a module as part of the Menagerie. Like it had its own module that you would fly to.
Tribute Hall.
That was where Bad Juju was out.
The Tribute
Hall.
Yeah,
yes.
It was where the Bad Juju mission was. Yeah, they took that. Yeah.
They should put it in the farm. What is the farm doing? Put a little DPS test.
Good point.
Yeah, just put
give us a test dummy there.
Yeah. Test dummy.
I'll take that over a soccer field. A second one.
I know, right?
Soccer fields.
Put a couple big ones because you got like captains. You got to put a Vex there because you never hit their crit spot, and like a big ogre and a couple things just to.
Yeah, because what happened is the new season comes out. There's the new exotic. People want to know how efficient it is, how powerful it is, or new abilities, right? A new subclass and comes out and strand. And you want to know what actually works, how does it affect enemies, and there's really no set way to get that information.
It's usually either Carl or I typically see if it's like a full damage phase. A lot of people run to
it's the Grasp of Avarice.
Boss. Yeah, Grasp of Avarice dungeon boss. The ogre boss. There, the big ogre. He's usually one that gets a lot of it.
Yeah. No, good point.
It's like, those are two, but it's like a game where you see enough people doing that. It would be nice to see.
Agreed.
Well, that's why we have the wonderful content creators who test this rigorously.
Exactly.
Aztecross is faster than anybody sometimes. Like, thanks.
Good
to know.
Good Good perspective.
He tells us how to beat legendary lost sectors with a blue loadout.
Oh yeah,
that's his specialty.
The blues, no doubt, no doubt. So, all right, let me get. I think I kind of got the idea of experiences. Both. I guess my curiosity now is like, what was that key breaking point when you're like, no, Destiny, no, that's it. I need to know from each of you, what was the break?
I don't know. I have to think about it. Yeah, I'm trying to think like
what
it was.
I'm not doing this no more, Destiny.
On, right?
Yeah, I think it was like doing some Nightfall. It was just like trying to run a legendary Nightfall, and it was just not going the way I wanted to. I felt like I was doing everything right, but it was just like something dumb we kept dying to, and I was just like, you know what? I don't want to play this anymore.
That's so like, I had a random
is it a result of someone's consistent failure on said team, or because sometimes those raids that do it is somebody not doing their job, and you like, I'm not running this all night. Y'all got me up.
Exactly, and it's exactly what it was. It was like running it with two other people. One of those two people was not doing it right, and I was just like, bro, I can't. I was getting flashbacks, you know, and I was just like, I can't do this. It was it was that MMO shell shock, you know.
Yes, and you sit there, not to cut you. So in my experience, you sit there, you're like, all right, we gonna knock this out by 11 o'clock or whatever, and then like 2 or 3 hours past that time, and you know you got work in the morning, you got something you're supposed to be doing, and you still here doing that thing. Continue. That was one of my breaking points early, but continue.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I remember like getting the Arbalisk was like the best of the time for running that stuff, and I was like, all right, I got the gear, I got the weapon, I'm good to go. We're doing this, we're hitting it. Should take like no more than 20-30 minutes. I watched a guide. We're like, we're good. And then, you know, just like kept dying and die, like, you know, 15 minutes in, die, another 15 minutes in, die again. And I'm like, what are we doing wrong? I was like, let's fix it. And then we're like sitting there for 5 minutes trying to figure out like what we did wrong. It's like, all right, no, did wrong. Did it? Everybody did their part right. One person didn't, die again. And that went on for I think like 2 or 3 hours into the morning. And I was like, it was like, you know, 3 a.m. And I'm like, forget this. I was like, I'm done.
Fair enough. Brandon, your breaking point, sir. What was the most?
Yeah. I mean, mine was definitely, I think, mostly a taper down. It was just I was seeing the I don't want to say light at the end of the tunnel. That's weird. The opposite of that maybe. But yeah, it was just, you know, yeah, I hit rank 10, you know, twice in a row or something like that. I'd done everything I wanted to do, again, aside from like grinding KDA up or something in PvP, you know, so Crucible report looks more impressive, and you know, I can feel like I'm big and, you know, big and good at the game. So, but yeah, aside from that, I mean, I had some friends. You mentioned the raid issues. Yeah. So we had some, I think some a little bit.
I played with your group. Yeah.
Yeah. It's some raid, a little bit of a pseudo raid meltdown. And then the group kind of got a little bit small or smaller.
Wait. I told you guys the story. I told you guys the story about somebody I was raiding with who would always remember. I told you there was somebody we were raiding with who would always come up with crazy things that didn't actually happen, like somebody pushed her off of the cliff or whatever. And then I told you that later something happened in real life where she claimed that she got into a car accident or something like that. And then we all went, wait a second, is she doing the same thing she's doing during the raid? Actually, I told this story on an episode of Last Word, which that was his raid group. Yeah.
I think maybe the car accident was real, but it prompted the question because earlier we had seen things where like verifiably seen things where like we're watching and then the statement was like, oh, so and so did this, and I'm like, I was looking at that person, they were nowhere near you, like, yeah, right. So like, but you don't. Yeah, but you don't, you kind of have to be careful. Like,
Brandon, I gotta back up the accountability check where they are saying things that are untrue, and you are now watching them in real time, and they are not doing said thing as they claim.
It was more like it was that thing where you know, there's certain types of people where like even if you try to say it as nicely as possible, as soon as you give anybody a note, they're just like that type of person where they're like, I don't take notes, and they get super defensive. It was like one of those things where it was like where I'd be like, hey, I noticed you're doing this. That's actually going to cause a white mechanic if you do that. And they were like, I wasn't doing it. I was nowhere near that. And they would just like say that stuff. And I was just like, oh, dude, like it was really hard because I was like, I've done this raid like 30 times. I know what to do. You've never done it. I'm trying to explain it to you.
But see what it is, Trav, the ego can't acquiesce to your knowledge.
And I get it. In this case, I get it because, frankly, women have it pretty hard in raids. They get blamed for a lot of shit that's not their fault, and people talk down to them. And I get that they have a hard time in it. And so I think Brandon and I were always trying to be like extra, like,
kid glove sensitivity.
That, you know, be like, hey, let's try to pat it. But still, there's just some people that they lash out as soon as you even try to politely ask them.
Yeah, so there were a couple of raid meltdowns. Like our raid, I'm trying to think if we might have got through Vow of the Disciple, but we did King's Fall, and that was a little difficult. DSC was fine. That was the one where we got, I think, comfortable. But again, it's not a hard raid, right? So, so it was just one of those. And then they kept wanting to do harder raids, and I'm like, I've done raids with different groups, and it goes really smooth and it's really fast. Like we bang this out in an hour and a half, and I know if I do it with them, we'll get through it. We're just going to be 3 hours, right? And it's going to hurt.
Been there, definitely been there.
Yeah. And you do it, but then it's also like I don't want to do that repeatedly. Like here we get it, we got through it, guys. Please let me go farm it with other people now, right? Like so. But yeah, was that? It was less. I wasn't. I think I was one of the last one in my group showing up. Just I think a couple of people had some meltdown sniping moments. It happened once or twice or 3 times, and it was different people each time. And then they just kind of stopped playing for a bit, and I was like, okay, well I'm done, and I'm out. You know. So and. I was like, I don't need to come back now. So I think that just kind of so part of it was too. I think if they had insisted on keeping going, I would probably. My wife, forces me to be social, and that's one of the things I would do to be social with people. So I'm not because I'd be completely fine alone.
He goes goblin mode pretty hard.
Yeah. So I can just tunnel away my own little hovel and be happy, right? And I don't need other people. It's fine. My wife's great. I like her. She can stay. But everyone else, yeah. But that if that group had stayed together, maybe I'd still be playing. But I'm kind of glad it fell apart when it did, because I had the opportunity to play amazing games since, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3 being a notable one. But yeah. So
as soon as you get out of the pit of Destiny and play other games, you're like, man, I don't miss it that much. Unfortunately. That's not to say Destiny can't be great. We all know it can be great sometimes, but when you're forcing yourself to play it and you get a taste of something like Yakuza and you're just this is just like pure joy. This is what I miss. So Palworld, you just get that shot of just pure fun. There's
it's like all those.
Good. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. I will say, I don't know if the light level's been increasing, or I know they put it on a pause for quite a bit of time when I was playing. I don't know if it's still there, but
they increased it during major expansions only.
Yeah. So that was a godsend, right? Like it not going up literally at all, I think was helpful. And it actually, and I'm not saying I'm going to be roped back because I probably won't, but if that group said, hey, let's do a raid or do a dungeon this one night, fit my schedule. And I knew I could hop back in, not have to do much work. I'm not grinding anything. Then I'd come in and have fun and then go be done once we clear it once and move on with my life. But
we have to gift that final shape to you. All right.
Well, I mean, again, maybe I might just stick to the YouTube videos for it, but just to see the lore or the story, see if it plays out not terribly, but
but I'll probably be reviewing it, so you'll be hearing from me if that lore payoff was worth it or not.
The final shape.
I'll tell you if the witness witnessed and if the traveler traveled.
And the gardener gardened and the widower winnowed.
I can't.
Yeah.
Two of each of those are the same.
No, I get it as far as your productivity goes up in a non-Destiny playing world. You know what I'm saying? You realize how efficient you are with other games and more experiences. I get it. So again, the flip side I gotta ask is I kind of alluded to it, Brandon. You know what I'm saying? But what would pull you? Like I know it's a long shot, right? I know it was a times thing. I know you're out of it, right? But obviously, final
out of the game. I don't do that anymore. I told you I don't do that.
That's my past life.
Oh, fine, I'll come back. Yeah.
What would final shape have to do, right?
Yeah.
To say to at least say, okay, you know what, Destiny, I'm interested based on it, or would it be like a series of things?
Well, maybe I'm being too charitable in a nostalgia sense. So like Halo 3 is an experience, and to some extent Halo 2. Although I had some friends who had a very funny joke moment where they're like, "What if the game ended right now?" And it was the end of the game for Halo 2, right? Because it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. And then they were like, "What the hell is this?" But those games, I felt like they told great stories, and if there's a really great, compelling story, I'll play it just to experience the story. If there's new interesting content, like dungeons and raids, sure. If I get the impression that I can spend less time grinding for stuff, that's and I think they had been making improvements on that, so that's fine. And really, I think
legendary
mostly
shards are on their way out. This is the last
Yeah.
season with them.
Yeah. So I mean, but here's the question, right? The ever-present question: that is that actually going to improve the grind or make it worse? I don't know, right? So, but we'll see how that plays out.
I
I'm
don't
sure.
see how it could make it worse, but yeah, I mean,
is there how else do I pay for or get things? I guess.
And then
Glimmer.
The Glimmer cap literally got increased this week.
Yeah,
I think it's up to 500K now, so it's like a
is
lot.
Yeah. So is it just a Glimmer grind now, right? And is the Glimmer grind better than the Legendary Shard grind was? And if it was, great. So
I'm curious how you're gonna refill your Glimmer, because we used to be able to just use Legendary Shards for that. With those gone, I'm like, am I gonna have to go and like do
you have to play the game now? You're gonna have to do chores.
Kill me, dude. Hell no.
It's like if I ever get to a point where I'm low on Glimmer and I have so many random currencies that the average person wouldn't have that I can go refill. But if there is the logical point of like, without those, you need to go do public events as the fastest Glimmer farm because a heroic is like 12K. If that's the way to do it, and I could if
I'm out.
It's one of those where it's like, if I think saw somebody say this on Twitter, and it's always the balance of so many things, but it's the balance of a lot of what you guys have said, the time you invest, but it's like, take a holiday event. And this is every holiday event. If you need to get certain amount of materials or Essence of Dawning, for example, and say I finish an entire dungeon, I'm going to finish that dungeon and I'm going to get like 1 Essence of Dawning, maybe 2, and then I can go run a basic Vanguard Strike and get 17. I'm like, why isn't you finished an entire dungeon? Okay, whether you can farm it or not, make that 100 essence. I don't care. Make it worthwhile. You can do a raid and you can get like 5 essence. That's kind of the thing. So it's the same. It's like, if I go do a public event and I get 12,000 Glimmer, if I finish a dungeon, maybe I should get like 50,000. Don't make the things that you can go do outside of the basic playlists less rewarding when it comes to some of the currencies that you tend to need, especially something similar like Glimmer. That's one of those that I feel, because every holiday event does that to me. Because I typically play solo a lot. If I don't want to do the playlist, then you're stuck doing the playlist and that kind of thing. And I know they're trying to fill those playlists for the free people, but man, you gotta, at least somebody wants to go raid, reward them too, and then you'll have more people raiding and running dungeons. And it's like, I feel like you just get more people in that way. So that's one of those things for me that kind of goes off to what you guys were saying.
No doubt. So finishing out, I know if you just finish that, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if my friends that's nothing Bungie can control, right? But if my friends want to play and it makes sense and it's not a huge time sink, that's great. Look, this is a difficult thing to do, is to calibrate a game where you can somehow appeal to people who are super hardcore and people who are a lot more casual and have a combination of depth and accessibility. It's not an envious task, and I'm not here to say I have any insight into that, but again, adjustments and improvements. I think a compelling story would be, not to put any pressure on Final Shape. I'm sure everyone at Bungie is feeling it, but yeah, if there's a good story and or an interesting campaign, that could be enough to suck me back in, and then it's like, okay, well, what dungeons or raids have I missed? Right?
Have you missed sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and then let's go do those, because those are new to me and those might be interesting. And then does the PvP seem better? Although I never really, I wouldn't say I hated the PvP. Is Airborne Effectiveness still in the game?
Yeah.
By the way, I started playing with Airborne Effectiveness, so I should be someone who didn't hate it. But I think as I played more and more, I started to get why people hated it and why it wasn't necessary, probably. So
always hated it.
Yeah. Because I think that was a big casual versus content creators versus people, and also good example at least of I know some people complain that content creators always get what they want, but they were all screaming against that and it went ahead anyway. So
yeah, that's true.
You guys do not control absolutely everything.
It is a stat. It is a stat, and I get why they want to.
Anti-elitist, Brandon.
Yeah. My problem with all of these things is that they try to make things stats, and then, as Brandon said earlier, they don't open the kimono. They make it super opaque as to how it works, and so you're left with this really confusing, all right, well, now I've got to worry about my stats on how accurate I am in the air, but I don't actually know.
Yes.
Oh yeah, dude.
All right, so PJ, for you, what would it take? You seem to be, the vibe I get is you seem the most removed, would be the hardest to come back after your experience. So What would it take to at least?
Nah, I think if his buddies were like, "Dude, hop on Destiny," he'd be like, "All right." I think that's honestly it. That's my thing. I think if Mariano
Bungie,
pushed enough, yeah.
No kicking and screaming.
Bungie paid me.
Oh damn!
Never mind.
I don't think that business model
No,
would
just
work.
kidding.
Yeah.
No, I think I think to come back would be kind of similar to Brandon, like a great story. I don't know if Destiny's got that, at least in my experience. I'm already I'm just like, yo, this is not for me. It doesn't really interest me. And it's got a lot of that space existentialism, which is a cool concept, and I love that in storytelling, especially in sci-fi. But I feel like I feel like example, like, kind of off topic, but Gurren Lagann does a great job of doing that already. Like, its whole story is, that space nihilism, existential crisis of like, how big are we, how small is everything, what is the universe, all that. So I think that aspect is out the window for me. They jumped the shark, I think, too many times for me. But I think the gameplay, though, like, I think is really where it's at. If I had like a solid static for like maybe PvP, maybe I'd come back for that. I don't know if I'd really do much of the raid content or like legendary nightfalls or things of that nature. It's just too grindy. But if I could like jump in, play some PvP with friends and jump out, I think that would probably get me to come back if I felt like it was in a good place. My problem with MMOs and PvP is I feel like they don't really mesh well together because of the systems intrinsically tied together with rating and the gear and the item level and the min-maxing, where like in a lot of other games, like obviously there's always going to be meta with guns, whatever, but for the most part, if you're skilled enough, you can get around that with just like your skill. Right.
Yes.
Example would be like Valorant, right? Like obviously there's abilities in Valorant and some, champs are better than others, but guess what? At the end of the day, whose aim is better, mine or theirs? Like, because if I don't care how good you are with your abilities, if I can shoot you in the head, you're dead. Doesn't matter. And I feel like that also applies to games like Destiny or any other, MMO with PvP content. I think if there's, a way that they set it up where, and I think it pretty much is set up that way already. I think it's just some minor tweaks they have to make, but it's as even as possible. You don't feel like any particular gun has like a huge advantage. I think then, or like any abilities or builds have like a huge advantage over any other one. I think then that would kind of bring me back more than anything.
So basically, you would have to hear about huge strides in like quality of life and balance and that kind of, and as opposed to specific content, as opposed to lore, like Brandon. Like you need to hear like there's true revamps at its core. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is like some just like quality of life revamps. I think
he wants it to feel fun. He just wants to be able to log on.
I know it's so hard because it's like a funness rating. There's no real way to rate that, but like that's what I look for in a game at the end of the day. Is like, is the game fun? Cool.
I get it, Paul, and I think it's more than just it being fun. It's like it being fun immediately without all the setup and grinding and like prep work to get to the fun. Because that is something Destiny's kind of bad at. Is like, oh, dude, if you just do raids, it's great. Cool. How do I do a raid? Oh, well, you got to play for 150 hours and then you'll be able to raid.
100 hours
like,
in, man,
dude,
it gets really good.
It gets really good after you just grind
with
your brains out. You just got to hang out with this cosmic horse for 100 hours, and then it'll be super cool after that. It's like,
God, I forgot about that too.
Yeah, dude. Hell no.
Cosmic horse is cool. No, but I think a refined. It's. I mean, what kept people playing Halo 2 and Halo 3 when it doesn't have any grinding systems, right? It's that gameplay loop that is enjoyable, and you just get on, you play with your buddies for a couple hours, you have a blast, and you hop off, and you keep doing that, and you keep coming back because you're not worried about grinding the next thing. Like, getting new stuff is cool, and this is the kind of game. It is part of Destiny's identity. It can't go away from it. It has a looter shooter element to it. You can't ignore the looter part of it. But I think the more you can minimize the pain point of the I haven't spent much time looting, the more I can just have a fun time in the gameplay loop, and then go, I want to come back and play. And to the extent I don't care about the fact that I don't have all the best stuff, or I have good enough stuff where I don't feel at a severe disadvantage, and it's just fun regardless. That helps, and I don't know if that needs a major revamp. That's probably just refinement, and I don't know, actual attention. And I might be speaking a little bit ignorantly here. Maybe they've done this since. I know they had a task force or whatever, but the perpetual ignoring of PvP. I mean, I think that's the thing that sustains the lifeblood of a game in between content releases.
Talk to him, Brandon.
Right?
Talk to him.
Yeah.
Talk
So like you got to invest in your PvP. Actually, like any appreciable amount, and and people will keep playing that because it's just fun. And then you don't have to worry about them on this burnout cycle of content, because if they burn out on the PvE content, who cares? Like, how many times did I play the Halo 2 or Halo 3 campaign? I don't know, maybe a couple. I beat it on Legendary. Yep. I don't think I messed around too much with skulls, but you know where I probably spent hundreds of hours on those games. Why? Because the PvP was just awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like asking a COD player, how often do you play that COD?
Fact.
You know,
the 4 to 6 hour campaign.
Yeah. Once.
I played Modern Warfare 1, and that was a ride, guys. Like, I mean, for any of you who remember, there were just so many moments where you mouth drop. Like, the ending of that game is insanity. The whole stuff with the knife and so I'm trying not to spoil it, but I guess it's been a decade or more at this point. 2 decades.
Years. Yeah.
I'm super old, man.
Good. Yeah. Shout out to the OGs.
That was a great campaign, though.
Yeah.
It was. It was just over the top insane. Yeah. The moment with Ghost and the fire, the light and the bodies on fire. You're like, oh. Yeah. So No Russian was that mission, right? That was a whole huge controversy.
That was a crazy year.
That was a ride.
Year.
And again, I love the campaign, love the single player, but that doesn't sustain a player base. But the multiplayer was fun enough to do that. So.
Got you. No, fair enough. I love these assessments. I'm glad I got a chance to, as I missed that first episode you guys are on, and get a chance to hear this, because it's good perspective. It's good to hear, you guys' experiences and what you get through, and what the tension and the resistance is to actually get to the fun for you guys. And to hear you guys talk about it is really interesting. And hopefully, like I said, I know there's a lot of pressure on Bungie with Final Shape, but hopefully they can input some of this feedback, because I think it's important, big time. But that was that last question I had.
I was going to say, so what if I told you guys that the director of Destiny 2 for the past few years is leaving next month, and Final Shape comes out in June? Gut reaction.
Yeah. Paul, if you'd like to go first.
Travis.
I saw. I mean, God, I remember I actually saw that news. So I'm trying to give my gut reaction to that a few days ago. Even though I don't really follow Destiny 2 stuff, I caught wind of it. So it is, obviously a big deal. I don't know. It could literally mean nothing. I mean, it could be a thing where the guy, if can't remember his name, is it Joe Blackburn? But yeah, so if he's moving on because he really wants to do something new, and he just wants to get out and do the new fun thing, and he's feels beat up enough about this and wants to move on, I hear that.
He's kind of the last OG in leadership for Destiny. Like, it's kind of the final exodus of like the people that made Destiny what it was originally. It's not to say that the new team isn't up to the task, but it does certainly, I think, represent like the old guard is basically gone now. They're either working on their new game, or they're gone from the company.
Yeah, Tyson Green.
Tyson Green, though,
he's
the last one.
Replace him, and he's been that. Sounds like Bungie's been there. Working with started in 1998, so he's been at Bungie for 26 years. So he's been around since Halo, Myth, just farther back than any of this Destiny stuff. So he's been there for a very long time and actually taken the reins, which I do think is interesting. But also, that's why it's like, from Halo 3's Forge to file sharing and Destiny, and just he's been around forever. So it seems like he's definitely paid his dues in the studio, just quietly. Now, he, on the other hand, is somebody who has no social media presence, doesn't even have a Twitter account. And you've got Joe recently, and again, more recently,
streaming himself,
literally streaming himself with a notepad and just handwritten notes to actually just kind of give an update on state of the games or things of that nature. And that's something the community definitely feels, kind of brings a little bit of heart back to the studio. And I kind of wonder if you guys think, is that something that the community needs going forward? Somebody like Blackburn out there with the notepad. So do you think Tyson needs to kind of take up the reins of doing that? Or do you think somebody who has no social media presence and the D2 Destiny 2 team account and stuff like that can get the job done? Where do you guys land on what is the importance of like a director and their presence to a community like this?
I don't think you need a presence personally. And yeah, Tyson is OG. The reason I don't wasn't including him in kind of my description of the old guard is because I've been to Bungie HQ dozens of times and met with their team there, and I just don't remember. I don't know if I've ever met the guy. I'm pretty sure I recognize him as photo, but I don't think I've ever met him in person. And I know he was instrumental in Halo and Destiny and all that stuff. Weirdly, I kind of remember him leaving Bungie. He must have come back pretty quick, huh? I thought he went and worked at Riot or something at some point in time. But yeah, I don't know the guy that well, so to me, I think you're muted. I can see you moving your lips.
I was gonna say Joe left for about a year and then came back, so I know he did that.
Oh, Blackburn did.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know this guy, so to me, he's kind of an unknown quantity. But yeah, I don't think you need to have a social media presence. I mean, lots of people who've been in charge at Bungie have not really been out there very much. I mean, that's why you have a social group. I think it can even be beneficial to not be out there. Just leave it to the people you pay money to do that. Although with their social team largely being laid off, I don't know how much of a option they have.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that sentiment. Like, if he works better, like, look, you can make an excellent game hypothetically and never interact with your community. If your community has no complaints and loves it, you don't need to have that. But we're all human and people make mistakes, and sometimes the developers don't understand the consumer's expectations or desires or preferences. And so having that connection is there. Does it need to be this particular guy? No. I think Destiny is not a game that is perfect and has everything wonderful about it, right? So I think it massively benefits from sincere, genuine community engagement and acknowledgement at times when there are pain points. And hey, we're working on it. Here's what we're doing, and here's our plan. And even when the result or solution is not as great as you want, or they say, hey, this is going to be rough, or we can only fix it this much, or we can't really fix that, we're sorry. Like, at least there's some explanation of what's going on, and we don't feel like we're dangling in the wind wondering if they just don't care. And like, that's where the narratives about lazy greed and extracting value from the customer and not caring about them at all comes from. And I don't think that's true, but it's hard to know that if you're not, if it feels like the feedback, everybody's just screaming at the sky and shaking their hand, and everybody can hear each other screaming, but they don't know if is Bungie hearing that, right? So and just knowing that is happening, or that people are receiving that information and thinking about it and trying to do their best with it, that reassurance is what helps, I think, a lot. And I don't think Tyson needs to do that. If he's better served not doing that, because there's also some risk with exposing yourself to the public, and then you just get sucked into like constantly that engagement and not doing your actual other parts of your job. And if that's not where he's most effective, then have no social media presence. That's fine, but the game or the developers or Bungie should generally, in relation to the game, should have a presence from someone who's adept at handling that, and good at listening to it, and probably good at navigating people complaining and making contradictory wishes and demands. So
they'll pull up the receipts. That's for sure. I'm in pretty much 100% alignment with both of you. I've changed my stance. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love guys like Blackburn, and I love guys that are forward facing, and you get that extra level of communication. Of course, it's only human to feel that someone is actually listening and wants to respond back. But at the same time, I have changed my stance in the sense that as long as someone is effective at their job, they don't need to necessarily have to do it, because I'd rather the resources be put there if the communication aspect is not their strength, and then leave it, whether you're outsourcing or you're using your community management team to be forward facing. So look, they've got a tough road ahead of them. I'm pulling for Blackburn and whatever his new opportunity is. Looks like he's probably most likely got something lined up or whatever, and we'll see what I don't know. I mean, the vibe I get usually is like you don't accept an offer elsewhere, and because if you're forward facing now
with Staten,
if he's forward facing now, he's already signed off, and you're giving your notice or whatever it is. That's the vibe I got. It's going to be curious where he goes, right? And I will give him, to me, his kind of knight in shining armor moment, and he I think would agree, is that when the news came out about the stuff that was going on with Bungie internally, and the community was really furious, as far as them not listening and so on and so forth, and him kind of having to do that. I remember kind of disheveled in his home call, and you could tell the guy was stressed out. He's feeling it, but he came forward he said, look, we let the community down. This is how we intend to construct a plan for change, right? And it was kind of like the we hear you. And I could tell that's not his natural thing, to be like this forward-facing person, but the community angst was at its highest at that point. What was the event? I'm trying to remember, what was it that we were all pissed? Everyone was furious with Bungie. And he came out, he did the conference call, from his house kind of thing. And I thought that was admirable considering the temperature of the room kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to respect him for that. And he's been there for a while. He's always been ingratiated with the community. So State of the Game post. Thank you, Prescott. Yes. Yeah. State of the Game post. That was a big one. But best of luck to him. And I'm pulling for green. At least he's a vet. But just do the job. Just listen to the community. Because the biggest frustration that we all learned was that the development team and a lot of those guys that were laid off were pleading with management, pleading with upper executives to say, hey, the community wants this. We need to push in this direction. And those were ignored. And then you now topple that with the 45% targets that you didn't miss or you didn't make or what have you. So it just kind of compounded stuff. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, on the other side of, these two have chosen probably not to spend much more money in the game for a little while, depending on what final shape does. We'll have to see. But I think
I give it a 10 out of 10. They'll come back.
Go chat.
But I think
I don't like the chances, but
like the chances.
If anything could happen, it could be a 10 out of 10 game. We'll see.
Don't like the chances there.
I was going to say on February 13th, Cog is a nice Valentine's Day present coming with Mass Effect crossover coming into Destiny. I wanted to kind of get your guys' take on that one because the Sparrow, the Ghost, and the ship are supposed to be free to everyone. I think the armor sets are what's going to be paid. Cog, I got to go you first, man.
Yeah,
favorite game of all time up in here now. In your other game, we go way too much time.
Mass Effect 2, definitely a GOAT game for me. Looking at the artwork and the stuff now. Look, this is I'm throwing money. What's the expression? I'm throwing money at this. They got me. There's always going to be certain things that I'm like, I can sit here and fraud and be like, I'm not going to give them. I am buying all of that. Whatever they're giving away free or what they not get. I am a huge Mass Effect fan.
If they put a Chrono Trigger thing in Destiny somehow, I would do it too. Don't worry. Like, there are certain ones we probably all would have our spots for, but I knew this was you.
And what it is, seeing it, I realized how thematically it fit. And I'm like, oh. And the Titan, I go from a little jealous of the Titan, man. Got the Shepherd, the Commander Shepherd thing going.
What's the name of the Warlock? What's the?
They got us with Leon and Tassoni, which she kind of fits a Warlock. I get it. Okay. I get it. Yeah,
and then
it's
the
cool.
Hunter is.
Yeah.
Who's the Hunter?
Actually, I think I'm gonna run with Garrus.
I heard that on Twitter. Yeah, I think that's.
I think that's the goal with Garrus look. He don't wear hoods like that, but I think in part 2 he had a little arc where he was kind of like an assassin. I got to get the Normandy though. The Normandy ship is going.
That's what I wanted to say is they actually dropped half of it being free for everybody. I gotta say pleasantly surprised. Like that was kind of a nice move to say, hey, here's this collab. Yeah, you might spend the money on the armor, but here's some stuff just for everybody. That was surprising, actually.
I guess the question I have for Trav is, how do you think? How did they pulling off these deals? Like that was Witcher, Mass Effect, Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, they had that was PlayStation because it was Ghost, God of War, and something
Assassin's
else.
Creed, and Assassin's Creed 1.
This is the new thing. I mean, it's live service games are sort of. I think everybody's. I know you guys get annoyed when I refer to this, but I call it the Fortniteification of Destiny. And I think that they really are setting the model of how to do live service games. And so people think, oh, well, that's what you do now. If you're a live service game, you cheapen it by doing crossovers with anybody who will give you $1. And that's just what they're doing. So I don't know if they're paying or if
who's paying.
My guess is they're getting a cut of however many they're sold. Yeah, it's probably a percentage. Yeah,
so royalty percentage.
Both making money off of it.
So they almost license the models, and then if they make anything, then
okay, that's how it's going.
Okay. I mean,
everybody just gets a cut.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
My guess is it's a royalty on every copy sold. That's
who getting the most money. I need the lawyer to tell me.
Oh, I wouldn't know that, but yeah, who has the most leverage, right?
It depends if there's a licensing fee or if they're paying up front, Bungie's paying for it up front, a licensing fee, then maybe the royalty's lower. But if not, and it's just straight up like a split, then probably the IP holder would be my guess.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, some companies or IPs are notoriously difficult to deal with and are a little bit more unreasonable. But I would know. I mean, obviously, that you have the leverage if you're the IP that you think is going to draw more players to log back in, right? Like, if this Mass Effect thing is going to draw a lot of players to log in and potentially spend money on it based on the popularity of Mass Effect, It is a game that's a little bit older though. But honestly, as soon as you guys announced it, I was like,
And they're not
I don't
doing
think I'll play, but I might want to log in and download it real quick.
Yes.
Also, you got to keep in mind, like Mass Effect is another franchise that is down on its luck as much as Destiny, if not more. So they're kind of interesting bedfellows.
Yes, good point. Yeah, huge
try
pressure on
franchises that are really not in a good spot right now, and put them both together in one game. So, although one of them did tell a good story.
Yeah, Destiny 2.
Most of like 3.
Yeah, for sure,
yeah. Okay, I was about to say one of them told like 90 to 95% of a good story.
Yeah,
and I think you know which one that is. And then
that Mass Effect 3 ended. Oh damn!
No, Mass Effect. I love those games. I ran through the Legend. Or was it the Legendary Edition?
Legendary Edition. Yes.
Yeah.
Oof. No doubt. Commander Shepard time. Salute.
What else happened in the TWID? I still have. It's been too many years. That is still not natural.
Yeah, I know.
They talk about Fireteam Finder is going to get a bit of an update. Some of the success of Fireteam Finder between raids and dungeons. There was something they did for a Witcher emblem where the community had to get like 7,777,777 kills. I swear they did that in like a day and a half. That emblem is out there if you want it. And then Game to Give is wrapping up right now. Game to Give is, I know Bungie had their stream today. They're 2.7 million for the Bungie Foundation. All of that's for Direct Relief and the iPads for Kids, all that stuff. So yeah, we had Jared on.
Salute to Jared.
I guess that was 2 weeks ago now, because
2 weeks.
Yeah, we had him on 2 weeks ago, and it was that day they were about to cross 1 million. But I mean, they're coming to the end of it. They got about 3 days left. They might get 3 million. That might be the biggest one that they've done. So that's pretty massive, I think. That's most of like. So, did either of you guys log in and do the Rivens wishes? Not our two.
I have not yet.
I did it.
Oh, how was it? Yeah, I'm curious. What was
boring?
What did I have you do?
You enter the wish and you do a final mission and you get a cutscene. That's it.
Really?
No, that's not the Rivens wishes, the weekly quests. That's what I was talking about.
Oh, those. I thought you were talking about the ending of the season.
No.
Yeah, no, I did that.
Wishes.
Okay.
Did you do those? I'm gonna guess no.
No. I don't even know what those are, to be honest.
So
educate us.
Pretty much it was last week's TWID where you can kind of, it seems like it could have been part of the season, but obviously with the delays and everything, they're just stretching some stuff out. It feels like, at least. Each week you'll do one task. You'll get one wish token. It is account based, so you can't get 3 each week. And you can choose either a red border last wish weapon. Literally pick one.
Right.
You can do one of the 4 Lightfall year exotics, or you can get random stuff like mementos, a couple of those, or some currencies and stuff like that. So the first one this week was the Rift Generator public event on the Dreaming City. If you did it heroic, it was done in 1 for me, at least. And then you had to do 30 Dreaming City activities, and it was all based. It's their whole thing where they do like percentages. I tried a patrol, didn't count. I basically ended up doing about 12 or 14 lost sectors.
Oh, I thought you was about to say blind well.
No, well, blind well was 17%. You know how long that takes.
Yes.
You can go through just a normal patrol level lost sector, and you could like jump in the backside of one and do it in about 60 seconds. So you just sit there and do that loop over and over. And if you're
that's the loop. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like I was done in 45 minutes. I got the token, and then I was looking through. But you have 4 months until you have to turn these things in. Well, if you're ever going to farm Last Wish for, red borders, you've got 4 months to potentially see if you do that first. Well, I made a video, but I was just like, you probably shouldn't spend them right now.
Right.
Well, unless you're one of those people who's a completionist, who's like Teddy, for example, who has everything possible, has all the exotics, has all of the other pieces. Yes. And then at that point, he just might want a couple extra mementos. But it's like, so the first one's not that bad. Now let me tell you the other future weeks. Week 2 is 7 Ascendant chests. So I don't know if it's doing the Ascendant Challenge 7 times or doing it over 7 weeks.
Wow.
So if you did finish it, you might have to leave, reset the patrol, then go back and jump into it again. Week 3.
Kill me.
1,600 combatants in Legend or Master Lost sectors.
Okay, all right.
Week 4, Tier 3 Blindwell, so you got to do the big Blindwell, but then 1,500 targets killed in Blindwell.
All right.
And that's why you killed. That's probably not the team. Maybe. Yep. I don't know. Week 5 is 80 taken bosses or Powerk, the Farseer's Heir. And I think that's one of those like taken bosses you get to spawn if you trigger like, one of the light balls somewhere. And then the final one is Complete Prophecy.
Okay.
The dungeon.
So basically they're forcing engagement in specific
and so it's like whatever
game.
those are, it's for account wide, and you'll get 6 over the and you can do this just sometime before final shape if you want to.
Right. And then so we got 4 weeks of it, right? 6 weeks of it. Okay, because I was about to say, is that enough borders for a weapon for last week?
Yeah, you're gonna get 1 weapon and then 1 extra depending on how much you farmed. I've got some red borders or some pattern progress that's at like 4 or 5. The one I want is probably the rocket launcher. That would be number 1. Number 2, supremacy would be another one. Those are the 2 priorities, I would say.
Yeah, I think you nailed it for me. I think my chores will be, I have not gone back to Last Wish since they revamped the perk pool.
Yeah.
And got actually good perk. And what is it? Apex Predator is the rocket?
Apex is the rocket, and supremacy is probably the best kinetic sniper.
And what's the role we should be going? What should I be going for Apex?
Reconstruction, so you can load 2 in when you're not using it, and then you can get bait and switch. You can get 4 pull. You can get. It's got a lot, so you can kind of pick what you want.
Yeah, I could do that. I could do a chore for.
But that's kind of the thing, though. Reset day. What I would say is like if you do the quest, if you do the quest, like if you want to put your time in,
doing that.
Go play a good game.
So if you put your time in, all I was saying is you might have the rotation of Last Wish coming back, and if you're one of those who wants some of those things, try and find a raid group who wants to farm Cali on the first encounter over and over, and you'll probably have a whole lot more success. And then if you do 1 or 2 of the challenges, like maybe you do beat Prophecy between now and the end of it just to run through it once, and then the first one and not have to kill 1,500 targets on the blind well, like maybe you don't do that one, oh no. But if you get like a couple of mementos, but you do the Last Wish farming is going to be better.
Yeah.
This is just kind of maybe a guarantee on top, like if you miss a couple or something like that. But you want the Last Wish weapons, it's going to come around like once every 7 weeks or something like that. So you're at least going to see it twice. Look for a schedule if you want to. That's not bad. But again, that's all it is. It is Dreaming City. It is Last Wish stuff. So for the people who you're completionist, this is basically nothing for them. So they will probably skip all of it unless they want like a memento.
For me though, I have the curse of what's the Last Wish exotic? It refuses to drop.
1,000 voices.
I've never got 1,000 voices. It burns my soul. And I run that raid and I see everybody get it. And I'm really I've seen it drop twice in the run. And it's still, I'm like, I can't with this game. So that might lure me a little bit if it's the Last Wish. Don't do it.
Well, the other thing that dropped was Moments of
Triumph. What are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with that perfect gun, dude? Having the best gun in Destiny is like being the handsomest guy at the Renaissance Fair. You know what I mean? It's like you got the gun, and then you have to play Destiny with it. You can bring it into a different game.
Where they get me is the build crafting. I'm such a build crafting guy, and then they always do a sandbox update where they buff something, and they're like, "All right, now we gave it burn properties. I don't want to synergize it with the build," so they're gonna get me. So my thing is, if it's terrible now, knowing Bungie's history, give it 6 months. They're going to come back around to, we've noticed the percentage of users are not using, we've upped the reticle and the damage DPS, or we changed this perk, and then next thing you know, it's effective and it's better. And I'm like, yes, I got it. I got to do it already. It's already sitting in my vault ready to go. So that's what I do with them.
How full is your vault space then? Are you always holding? Yeah, you're holding on to things that are what ifs all the time.
Yeah, I'm bad, bro. I'm at like 597. I'm like 3 away. I have to literally go in there and make decisions and be like, all right, I can't have 6 versions of this gun now.
we got to buff this perk. Yeah,
because in my mind, I'm like, yo, they gonna buff this perk. I'm telling you, they know this is ineffective. Here comes a patch, and I don't want to be that guy that got rid of a potential future god roll. That's where I get in trouble, and I got to stop. It's a bad path.
No kidding.
It's bad. I know.
But outside of that, we. As I said, Moments of Triumph, I logged in and I had enough of them done to be done with Moments of Triumph. So I logged in, checked the boxes, and was done. If you've played a decent amount for the year, you're probably similar. There's some stuff I haven't done, like I didn't find every Arcana card from Season of the Witch. I will tell you, because you missed Season of the Witch the one right after. One of the there a couple moments with Eris were legit really cool. So like
I heard that, and I agree. What I saw of that, it seemed like, man, that was the season to have. If I could have swapped that in for one of the 2 or 3 that I actually experienced, yeah.
Yeah, that was, and we actually had Morla, the voice actor for Eris, on just a bit after that, and she was actually a really cool person to talk to. She was,
yeah, that was a cool.
Yeah,
That was
awesome.
a cool episode.
I also heard the activities or looked good or were enjoyable. I don't know, maybe for a while, or I don't know if people burned out on them again. Yeah,
they were pretty good. Like depending on what you did. I mean, I think the coil is decent too, but I think
comparatively good.
Yeah, they were pretty good. There were some good puzzles in there. Like people went pretty deep on figuring those out too. So they had a decent amount of multiple like nodes at the helm directory, more than kind of some of the other seasons. They gave you some good stuff to do. It was a decent season, and the story was kind of cool. Like, did it affect the grand scope of things? Not yet. We don't know at least what it'll do, but it was pretty cool. But yeah, so Moments of Triumph, knock that stuff out. Get your Heather Gray t-shirt. I like the dragon logo on it, but yeah, we'll see if I pick that one up. And then, so we have Titan is going to be the good wizard, and then Hunter and Warlock are going to be the evil wizard. The Hunters were 64% evil. Warlocks were torn 54% evil. You were close.
I feel better about that.
Titans went 65% good.
So that. At least it was a struggle. So some Warlocks with proper sense.
Titans finally got the best outcome.
I was like, I like the Titan one when I saw it. I was like, the other one was good, but the Titan one's kind of clean.
Clean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Titans finally have the drip over Hunters and Warlocks.
Yeah.
You guys have enough. We needed one. You guys have won a decent amount of those Halloween ones. Shout out to Brianna. She rated us a little while ago on Twitch over there. So she was sharing the community and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
salute.
You know, had her on the week before.
Are we on
Brianna's
Twitch
awesome.
here?
Yeah, I do Twitch and
both?
YouTube. I do them both at the same time.
Little multi-stream.
I've been missing half of the comments. All the
time.
So here's a question for you two, just to kind of wrap this thing up. Do either of you have an interest in checking out Marathon?
That's one that's more like, is it closer to like Escape from Tarkov or something like that?
We have
right?
at least
An
been
distraction
told that,
shooter.
Yeah, it's distraction kind
of. Maybe. I mean, at least sounds like it'd be less grindy, but and it has elements of like, you know, it's not just a pure like if you're not the best first-person shooter, you have old man hands like me. Maybe you can outthink people and chuckle at, you know, young dumb kids who make bad decisions and bad strategic decisions, because otherwise, if it's a straight shootout, I'm just going to lose every time. You know,
my brand.
So.
Young kids who make bad decisions. My brand.
So yeah, I don't know. It could be fun, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I still got like 2 or 3 Baldur's Gate 3 playthroughs I'm waddling through. So and I actually
waddling.
Yeah, I hopped back into Elden Ring 2 again. You know, there's that DLC that's gonna. Oh man, that's such a good game. I forgot how good it was.
DLC
but
is gonna be.
Yeah,
I swear it's gonna be massive whenever it drops.
It's gonna be awesome. I think they're delaying it so much because it is going to be very substantial. I mean, I think Dark Souls 3's first DLC wasn't that. It was fun. Sister Free Fight was amazing, but it wasn't very big compared to the final one. But I get the impression this one's just going to be. I don't know. I'm not trying to overhype myself, but it's going to be huge. I think.
Elden was an amazing game. DJ, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I played quite a bit of Tarkov during the pandemic just because it was one of those games that like really blew up. I had some friends who were really into it. I had a good time with it. I feel like there's been like a pretty big resurgence of these like hyper realistic shooter games, like Hell Let Loose also just going on Game Pass a little while ago. That game kind of gives me that same vibe, right? Like super realistic, a lot of mechanics of the game. If it's similar to Tarkov, I'll probably give it a shot. I think I'll play it. I find that game fun. I know DrDjFunk also is working on his own kind of version of an extraction shooter too, right? So it seems like it's kind of the new wave right now. There's a lot of them coming out on the horizon.
Well, that's about all I've got. Good to hear from you guys. Sorry we lost you in the world of Destiny, but from what you have said, we understand it too. I mean, over the course of the past year, I mean, I streamed some, little bit of variety here. Then I started covering other games last year. So I've my time in seasons, if you go look at my Destiny heat map, if you ever want to see how much you're playing, how much you log in on a day and those types of things, mine's been tapering too. I mean, there's times where I haven't logged in for, especially now we have 4 months and way too many other games to cover. kind of one thing as a content creator. It's like I'm gonna be playing other stuff pretty frequently. I'll jump in and check out the other things. What April we're supposed to get the Into the Light? No idea what that is yet.
Yeah, we gotta know what that is.
No clue. So whenever that comes around, that'll be something. But yeah, these wishes will be short-lived little Tuesday ventures, and that's but again, chat, you guys have been amazing, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us again. Always good to check in and see what Travis's buddies are up to. If you got any inside scoop, good nuggets of information about Travis, so we can have some ammo.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna get all
please share
it.
those with us in the DMs.
I can't wait.
We appreciate those.
I hate to break it to you guys, but I just met both of these sons of bitches last year. So
love it.
Sorry.
We probably don't have the deepest nuggets, but you know, if we think of things, sure. He also tells on himself all the time, right? So
yeah,
I'm my own worst enemy. Yeah, I'm my own worst enemy there. Yeah.
We'll extract data.
But chat, everybody, this has been amazing. Quick outros if you guys want to let people know where to find you, or if you're not really caring about, you say whatever you want. We'll start with Brandon.
Sure. I'm an attorney. I do California constitutional law things. I work with public agencies now, so mostly cities and counties.
But that's another day.
Yeah. I'm working on affordable housing, which is an impossible, eternally impossible solution in California, but very stoked about that. You can find me at my Twitter handle that I think's provided at BvsTrac. And that's about it. I mean, if you care about state constitutions, which you should, but that's probably not something that occupies most of your minds, then you probably would read something I've written at some point. Other than that, yeah, I do. I mean, look, even if you don't care about the specifics, having two sources of rights to run to, if the federal constitution fails, you go check your state constitution. You might have, something that protects you or helps you, right? So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be cognizant of. And all the fancy, most prestigious scholars are doing federal constitution stuff. So I snaked into the less prestigious state constitution because I don't want to say nobody, but very few people write about it. So by default, I get to become an expert. So, but yeah, that's basically my shtick or thing. And I'm not hard to find. You can probably Google me and find me all over. So, but why you would want to, I don't know. So, but that's up to you, the viewer. So,
put the Twitters in the chat, man. Let them learn. Let them learn.
Let the boy watch.
Exactly.
He needs to learn.
I remember that.
Down in my plums.
Yeah, down in my plums.
Hilarious. All of you guys, but anyway,
let the boy watch.
DJ,
let the boy watch.
Dr. DJ.
Yes. So you can find me at my handle, DrDjFunk. I actually was a Twitch affiliate, still am. I just haven't streamed in a long time. I'm actually planning to get back into it this month, particularly next week. Going to be mostly streaming probably FGC content. So if you want to run some sets, feel free. Some Street Fighter. Probably going to pick up some Tekken.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Yeah.
Some Street Fighter, some Tekken. Definitely gonna run some shooters on there too. So if you're interested in some fun, engaging content, want to play some stuff, come check me out. DrDjFunk, same handle on Twitter as on Twitch.
Yeah. It's DJ Funk in the building.
Do you have enough space on PlayStation for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on 145 gig? You can make some room, buddy.
My heart with that, man. I think I gotta finally install my extra SSD.
Oh yeah,
I never installed it. I have it sitting there.
Nice thing about PlayStation is they're really cheap. Yeah. So.
I gotta rip the wings off, right? I gotta rip the wings off and do all this crazy stuff.
You have to do one side and one screw.
I gotta get a screwdriver. This.
Oh my god!
Like I feel like I'm in PC repair again.
It's not good. It's not good. It's terrible. If you're gonna make a console part of the console market, this is like how to sell a console 101.
On the other side of it, though, the fact that they made it that way and they have been so much cheaper for basically the entire life of the console.
I will give them that. I'll give them that.
They're still cheaper. Like so.
The fact that they didn't use a
all you have to do is step into the world of PC for your console game. They're both
have you ever replaced the panel? Maybe you wanted to put some colored panels
I don't think you understand the console buyer. The console buyer barely understands.
The console buyer can put colors on their PlayStation, right? The console buyer sometimes puts colors on there.
The console buyer,
if they do that, they have one screw.
According to sales,
this is East PC sensibility. I love it.
It's not hard to do.
It is a terrible solution to not having enough memory on your game, storage on your game.
Okay, when they came out, memory was more expensive. That's why, again, they're all set up that way. Now
Why are you defending these people for their bad solutions?
No, this is his PC side. Don't let them. I know what's going on.
Sony lets you have an array of like PCIe 4.0 SSDs, and then Xbox did the cards forever, which were way too expensive. For the consumer, it's actually a good thing.
So they're both bad solutions, was what you're telling me.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. It sounds like one is really not targeted.
Okay, if you're
going to
talk about a console, hold on. No. If you're going to talk about a console gamer and you're going to say, hey, here are colorful things that you can put on the outside, that feels like a console thing that you might do. That's
nobody buys those.
They keep making them, so they must.
I know. Nope. I'm telling you, I actually have data on this. Nobody buys those, and guess why? Because it's work. Console buyers just want to plug in their
plug and play.
Do you know how many people Google how to set up your Xbox, how to set up your PlayStation?
The SEOs on that have to be crazy.
The SEO is ridiculous. People can't.
As someone used to work for Xbox, I can tell you,
people can't even figure out how to put in HDMI. Do you think people are going to open up their? Yeah, he actually still works on for the Microsoft.
Okay, well, taking off one panel and one screw was not a big deal. Saving the consumer a lot of money over the life of this generation.
I get that you're not a console gamer and don't understand. No, you are an idiot when it comes to marketing to console gamers.
I mean,
that's why you don't do it. I mean, that's not how you sell a console. They're both bad solutions. And by the way, PC also terrible. Also,
you really try to upset him tonight. Okay,
all bad. Anyway. All three of the platforms are terrible. You shouldn't be on
Travis being unhappy with everything, so that's fine.
That's not true. I like my Switch.
You like my Switch. The crappiest of all of them.
Is great.
You wanted you with the miserable tag.
Switch took 5 years to turn on Bluetooth audio. Yeah. They're fired. That is all I have to say.
And their games are still better than what you play on PC. So what does that say? Go ahead and look at Metacritic. Go ahead and look at Metacritic if you don't agree with me.
I don't think Baldur's Gate, Sekiro, any of the Game of the Years that have come out recently were on Switch.
Really? Breath of the Wild? Ooh. Tears of the Kingdom?
Yes, I know those were, but there's plenty of games that... Okay, that's 3.
Wait, was it Baldur's Gate 3 or Tears of the Kingdom that won? I don't remember.
Tears of the Kingdom won.
We got sophistication. You see how he threw the bomb and then sipped and then muted himself.
I mean, the answer is Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Into the situation and muted
Wait, you guys don't follow the Jeff Keighley Awards, right? You called IGN the correct answer, Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, man, it's getting messy tonight.
Are you saying your IGN is the only platform that matters out there?
I'm saying it's the only one I got to vote on. And by the way, I didn't vote for Tears of the Kingdom, but you know,
okay, yeah, you
got the right answer.
Anyway, we are following Dave the Diver's an amazing game, and the Godzilla preview yesterday. As soon as I heard like 2 notes, I was like, "Holy crap, that's amazing!"
I didn't realize they didn't have that on console. I thought it was only Switch at the time. For Dave the Diver,
Steam and Switch, I think sounds.
Dave the Diver was Steam originally, and then it came to Switch, and now it's coming to PlayStation, and Xbox will get it in 4 or 5 millennia. Or something like
4 or
that.
5 years, yeah. They'll get it about the same time they get Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is
probably
next
Xbox
generation.
18.
Yeah.
Xbox 18. Now you've got the new Dave the Diver original version.
There you go. You finally get your version, just like the Hawk Moon.
All right. Well, I'm sorry to our guests.
Get it when we say we get it, Gaijin. Okay.
I tried to outro the show like 15 minutes ago, so I am sorry to our guests.
Sorry, I was instigating. It was fun.
Putting up with the ridiculousness that happens frequently. I'm gonna have to edit this podcast thanks to somebody. That's where we're gonna wrap the show. Thank you guys for episode number 282. You guys have been amazing. We will see you next week. I have no idea what's gonna happen then, but for now, hopefully my channel still exists next week. For everybody who's been here, it has been
the last
word.
The last word.